Okay. Are we on? Okay, perfect. You have some copies there? You can take this over. Take one more, I think. Okay, everyone, we don't have any camera today because the camera decided to check out, but we still have the podcast and the audio, so that's good. Okay. So, once we know that, we say Lachem today. It's Hachodesh Nissan. We have to make sure it should be a happy class. Lachem. You get Lachems over there. That's good. Being that I don't have the video, no one knows what I'm drinking, so it's actually good. Okay. Shabbos Parshas Vayakel Pekude, Parshas Hachodesh, Chafei Adar Toshin Lamed Hey. This Shabbos is going to be Parshas Hachodesh. We're going to learn a mimer from the Rebbe. Very special mimer. I once actually did a synopsis of this mimer on a Monday night class many years ago. It's called Nissan Promise to Return. But we never learned the mimer inside. So this week we're going to learn it inside. And hopefully we're going to see a whole new light, even much more than what we saw last time. Even though then it was great. So here we go. This Shabbos is both Parshas Hachodesh and Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. It's going to be one of the unique occasions where we'll take out 3 Sefer Torahs. We're going to shake the world. We're going to bring out all the heavy guns. And we're going to blast the world with incredible light of Mashiach and Geula. So expect big things to come rolling in, Be'ezus Hashem, over Shabbos next week. Here we are. Let's go. This month is to you the head of months. It says in the Medrash, which is brought in the Pirush of Rashi. In the beginning of Parshas Bereshis, Rabbi Yitzchak says, the Torah should have began with Hachodesh Lachem. The Torah should have really started with the pasuk Hachodesh Lachem. Which is the mitzvah that comes when we went out of Egypt, the mitzvah to set the calendar, to sanctify the new moon and set the calendar. And this is what Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu when he was in Mitzrayim. And this was the introduction, and then also to the mitzvah of taking the Korban Pesach and getting ready for Pesach. So, but Rashi says that the Torah, Rabbi Yitzchak's, Rashi actually says this all the way in the beginning of the Torah. Not in Parshas Hachodesh, in the beginning of Bereshis. Rashi says appropriate would have been if the Torah would have started with mitzvahs. Torah is an instruction book, and therefore it's not a storybook. So why does the Torah tell us stories about creation? It should have started with mitzvahs. But tam pasach beBereshis. So why did the Torah start with Bereshis? Mishum kayach ma'asav higid liyamay lasas lam nachas goyim. Because he brings a pasuk. The pasuk says, it's a pasuk in Tehillim. Power of his actions he related to his people. What does that mean? The power of his actions means the story of creation. The story of creation is the power of his actions. God created the world. And Hashem related that to his people where? In the Torah. In the first section of the Torah. In Genesis and Bereshis. What for what purpose? In order to give us the inheritance of the nations. Which, by the way, is something that we're learning in Rashi for thousands of years, and it's just being fulfilled right now. And that's why all of us that are walking around dense, eating a lot of kugel, and not being aware about what's going on is totally insane. This challenge to Eretz Yisroel, this challenge to the nations, this two-state solution, this is why God begins the Torah with Bereshis. You know, we all are, crazy about the Torah. Everything is the Torah. And why the Torah began? The Torah was completely redesigned because of this problem, because of this issue. If the nations will say, you're thieves, you're taking the land that's not yours, God will say, it's my land, I created it. I gave it first to the nations, then I took it from the nations, and I gave it to the Jewish people, and I gave it to them that it should be theirs forever. And this is actually being fulfilled now, because now we've been given finally legitimacy over the land, at least that even the nations are agreeing to it. Not all nations, but the important nation is agreeing to it. And that's a beginning, and that's part of the process of Eretz Yisrael belonging to the Jewish people. But he's not focusing on this idea in this mimer. Just brings it in the beginning. What he means over here is mainly to bring is the question, not so much the answer. He doesn't even explain the answer. Just brings the pasuk. Based on what it is known. According to what it is known that even a question in Torah is Torah. Even when there is a question, and then we have an answer, and therefore we abandon the question for the answer, because we have an answer, yet the question still remains legitimate. That means that when the Torah, when Rashi says the Torah should have started with Hachodesh Lachem, and even though in the end we explain why the Torah should not and therefore doesn't start with Hachodesh, but since we had a thought in Torah that the Torah should have started with Hachodesh Lachem, that's a proof that to some degree the Torah actually starts with Hachodesh Lachem. That the beginning of the Torah is Hachodesh Lachem. Based on what it is known, that even a question in Torah Torah's emes, it's part of the Torah of truth. We can say this that it's stated in the Medrash. The beginning of the Torah was supposed to be with Hachodesh Lachem. Specifically, so the Medrash is so strong about it. The Medrash doesn't say why doesn't the Torah start? The Medrash uses much stronger language. The Torah should not have started with anything else but Hachodesh Lachem. That's saying it so strongly. So therefore, the Lashon loy ela moide shehula leikuva. Whenever it says it shouldn't have, only that indicates how this is leikuva, which means this is absolutely needs to be like this, and it can't be any other way. So if that's the case, and the Torah says it so forcefully, even though in the end we kind of rescind this and we say, no, okay, there's a reason why the Torah had to start from Bereshis, but it's also according to the truth that the Torah does begin with Hachodesh Lachem. Like the Rebbe Rashab says in his mimer, whose yard site, the Rebbe Rashab's yard site is going to be next week. On Monday, the Rebbe Rashab says, not on a Monday, on Sunday, Matzah Shabbos. The Rebbe Rashab says in his mimer, Parshas Hachodesh, Parshas Hachodesh hu ikar haschalas haTorah. That it's not only a question, but that the real beginning of the Torah is really in Exodus chapter 3. Not chapter 3, but in Parsha 3. In Parshas Boy, where it says Hachodesh Lachem. But this inyan that the Torah does start with Hachodesh Lachem, hu bepnimius, that's if you're looking deeper. Hu begilui, but when you're looking in the revealed side, that's the inner truth. Hu begilui, and on the outside surface, haschalas haTorah hu bebereishis bara. The Torah actually begins with bereishis bara. So we have a chitzonius, an external, and we have a pnimius, an internal. On the internal level, the Torah starts with Hachodesh Lachem, and on the external level, the Torah starts with Bereshis. And we can connect this with based on something else that is known. There is a question regarding to resolve the two, to reconcile the two opinions regarding to the time of creation. Das Rabbi Eliezer shebe Tishrei chafei elul nivra olam. Rabbi Eliezer is of the opinion that in Tishrei, the 25th day of Elul, the world was created. Das Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion shebe Nissan, that in Nissan, chafei Adar nivra olam, the 25th day of Adar, the world was created. So there's a question. When did creation take place? Did creation take place in Nissan, or did creation take place in Tishrei? So Rabbi Eliezer says that in Tishrei the world was created. And Rabbi Yeshua says that the world was created in Nissan. Now when we say the world was created in Tishrei or in Nissan, we really mean a few days before that. Because when we say the world is created in Tishrei, like we accept, it means that Adam Arishon was created in Tishrei. And Adam Arishon is created the 6th day in creation. So first you have to proceed with 5 days. So according to that opinion, the 25th of Elul is the beginning of creation. 25th day of Elul, and then we go to Nissan. According, however, to wow. Seeing that I don't see the camera, I feel more free. So if you remember, the 25th of Elul, we had an event here this year for the women. It was a big Kabbalah Samalchus event. It was a very strong event that we had here. And we broke through over here. When we made that event, we broke through. Why? I was so excited then that we're doing a dafka on the 25th of Elul, the night, because it's like 25th of Elul is where the world, the year is germinating for the whole year. It's like the beginning of creation, even before Rosh Hashanah. And right then already, we accepted already with the Malchus of Mashiach. We already accepted Mashiach here at Maayon, 25th of Elul. And very good. It was done over here, and we felt that something broke through. How do we know that? Because a couple of months later, suddenly Geula gatherings, of course, the whole world, bonko. And then what happened? On the 25th day of Adar, just this week, finally the rest, Kabbalah Samalchus events happened in 100 communities around the world. I spoke in Crown Heights now for 1,000 ladies. And then there were people in all places. And both, that was 25th of Elul, is the 25th of Adar, which the 25th of Elul is the beginning of the world, according to one opinion. According to Rebbe Eliezer, and the 25th of Adar is the beginning of the world, according to Rabbi Yeshua. So it's amazing. We hit on both 25th. In any case, the question is, how do you reconcile these arguments? Which one was it? You were arguing in a fact. So which one was it? If you're arguing in a halacha, you can say 2 opinions. But if you're arguing on a fact, so then one is true and one is not true. And we know whenever there's 2 opinions in Torah, both are true. How can you have on a fact like that, which one is true? The answer is that the way it is explained is as follows. That one of them is the creation in thought, and the other one is the creation in action. There's 2 stages to creation. There's the creation of thought and the creation of action. So the answer is like this: Shahabriya b'payil, the actual creation, Hazeh b'Tishrei. The actual, literal, physical creation took place in Tishrei. And the thought to create the world, however, began already in Nissan. 25th of Nissan, the Eibush is already thinking, but he doesn't bring it into actuality until the following Tishrei. Based on what it is known. Now that we say that what? Machshava, thought, is called pnimius. It's called the inside. Hakavana v'atachlis, it's the intention and the purpose. Shalasiya shala achrei machshava, of the action that's coming afterwards. When you have a thought, so the thought is what the meaning is. You're thinking, and then the action is the external part. But then there is the inner intention of what you're doing that's in the thought. So that's the pneumius. Nimtza comes out, comes out when the Eibishter, when God actually created the world in Tishrei, or the 25th of Elul, that's the chitzonius, that's the external creation. Upnimius abriya, and the internal element of the bria, of the creation, Nissan, that's a Nissan. So now it's going to fit really nicely with what we just said about the Torah. According to this, it comes out that creation and Torah are both aligned. That in both of them there is a pnimius and a chitzonius. In creation, the pnimius of creation takes place in Nissan, and the chitzonius of the creation, which means creation in its literal sense, takes place in Tishrei. That's in creation. In Torah, we also have that. Bereshis bara Elokim is the beginning in Torah, bechitzonius, and Hachodesh Lachem is the beginning of the Torah, bepnimius. And here too, the pnimius is in Nissan, and the chitzonius is in Tishrei, because Bereshis bara Elokim happens when? In Tishrei. The literal Bereshis bara happened in Tishrei. The pnimius of Bereshis bara, the inner dimension of Bereshis bara, the pnimius of Bereshis bara, happened in Nissan. Hachodesh Lachem, that's a Nissan. So you see in both of them, both in creation and in Torah, we have the same thing. The external part of it happens in Tishrei, and the internal part, the pnimius, happens in Nissan. And the same is regarding the beginning of the Torah. This that the Torah starts in Bereshis, which is the actual creation that happens in Tishrei, that is in the external. But in the internal, the pnimius of the Torah, the beginning of the Torah, is the pasuk Hachodesh Lachem, which is referring to Rosh Chodesh Nissan. Very good. So we're holding now Perek Beis, second page. The Yuvan Zef, so we'll understand this idea. Pnimius HaTorah, Chitzonius HaTorah. So all of this will be understood as follows. Bahagdim, we're first prefacing the Bahachiluk being Tishrei and Nissan, come in Yonim. The difference between Tishrei and Nissan is many things. Umehem, number one. The Amshacha b'Tishrei u'aydei serusa delatata. Tishrei is a time where we draw down. Both Tishrei and Nissan are very powerful months in the calendar. The two most powerful months in the Jewish calendar is Nissan and Tishrei. Nissan is the first month, Tishrei is the seventh month. And that's why they're both, saturated with holidays. Nissan has the big holiday of Pesach, and Tishrei's got a bunch of holidays. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah. So they're both, because these are the two poles of the year. And the whole year rotates on these two poles, the North Pole and the South Pole, the Tishrei and Nisan. In any case, the difference between them and the flow of energy, both of them have a tremendous flow of divine energy, incomparable to any other time of the year. And that's why they're both called Rosh. Nisan is called Rosh because it's the first month, the Rosh Chadashim. Hachodesh Lachem Rosh Chadashim, and Tishrei is Rosh because it's Rosh Hashanah. So for months, Nisan is the beginning, and for years, Tishrei is the beginning. Just like the head, the Rosh, has got the most energy, incomparably more energy in the brain than there is in any part of the body. So these 2 months are the richest months in the Jewish calendar. The richest months in the Jewish calendar is Nisan and Tishrei. But there's a difference in the fundamentally in the character of the months. A major difference in the character of the months. take both of them, but to put one there. There's a major difference in the character of the months. What's the difference? Nissan, the energy flows from above. And there's nothing required on our end to stimulate the flow of energy in Nissan. It's a gift from God from above. Every Nissan comes, God gifts us with love. That's it. Hashem's love flows freely to the Jewish people in Nissan in an incredible way, and it translates into big miracles. Tishrei comes after a lot of hard labor. Tishrei takes a lot of hard work because we're supposed to do tshuva. And when we repent, God responds. He responds very, very powerfully, but it's in response to our labor. That's why we have a whole month of Elul to prepare. Adar, even though it's a good preparation, a simcha and everything, but it's not an avoda particularly as a preparation for Nisan. Maybe the concept of the avoda of Adar is just that we should be open. Simcha opens us up. So when we have joy in the month of Adar, hopefully we're open to receive the big flow that comes in Nisan. But we don't have to generate the energy flow of Nisan. It comes as a gift from above. Matter of fact, it's coming from such a high place that we couldn't stimulate it even if we wanted to. Because even if we were really, really, really doing everything we can, we still can't stimulate that place where God is, from where Hashem is sending the Nisan blessings. So we can just sit quietly and receive, like it says by the Yam Suf. Hashem yilachem lachem, Hashem will fight for you, va'atem tachrishin. You be quiet, you don't do anything. And the Zohar actually says, Lo sisari midi, don't make any yisairos. Don't even stimulate. Then Hashem told Moshe, when the Jews were praying, God says, don't pray. The only time we ever hear that, don't pray. Prayer is unnecessary now, and therefore it's useless. Just be quiet and be a recipient. Tishrei, it's all our work. Okay. So, the Machilik between Tishrei and Nisan come in Yonim. There's a few in Yonim. Mehem, number one. The Amshacha b'Tishrei Yuadei Yisrusa de Latata. The Amshacha of the month of Tishrei is through in this Eiderus from below. That's Tishrei. Amshacha b'Nisan and Amshacha in Nisan Umamayla comes from above. Yisrusa de Liela mitzad atzma. It's in this Eiderus from above that comes on its own. The Zehu, and this is the reason why Shebirches HaGeshem u'b'shmayna Esrei Tishrei. That the blessing of Geshem, the difference between Tishrei and Nisan, we can see the difference between Nisan and Tishrei. We can see in the actual blessing. One of the blessings of Tishrei, in the end of Hachodesh Tishrei, we have a special tefillah called Tefillah's Geshem. And it's on the last day of Sukkot, second to the last day, we're here in Chutz Yair, Shmini Atzeres. And when we evoke and pray for rain. And then, a few months later, in Nisan, actually the first day of Pesach, we have a special tefillah called Tefillah's Tal, which is a tefillah of dew. So we see the difference between rain, Geshem, and dew. Both of them are blessing. They're both water that bring blessing to the world. The difference between the two is that rain is something that comes from below. The earth, the sun bakes or causes the vapor to rise. The vapor rises upward, and then it comes back down in the form of rain. And the physical structure of the way it works, this physical system, is a reflection of the spiritual system. Now, rain is Hashem responding to our avoda. That's why here in Los Angeles we should be very happy that we did such good avoda this year, that we have more rain than we've ever had almost. We have a bigger snowpack. In the history of LA, we had 4, and you know what it comes from? It comes from Chafei Adar here in Maayon Yisroel, when we had the ladies' Kabbalah Samalchus event. We don't tell anybody, but we did it over here. Not Chafei Adar, Chafei Elul. That's when we already took care of them. We already got then the snowpack, the fourth to the highest snowpack. That's why Taka says by rain. Oh wait, but by Nis. And Chazal actually say that if you didn't do tshuva, rain will come. Yaroif kamotar likhi. Why is rain called, what is it called Yaroif? Yaroif means it will drip. So the Medrash says, Shavru habriyos es erpon. If the creations break their stubbornness, then rain will come. If the creations do not break their stubbornness, rain won't come. So rain is dependent. The pasuk says in V'hayim Shemaya, if you don't behave, v'atzaras Shemaya. If you do behave, v'nasati gishmeichem, I will give you rain. If you will follow in my mitzvahs, whatever, in my statutes, I will give you rains. So rains is a clear tit for tat. When it comes for dew to tal, we know first of all even the physical element of dew. It's not a moisture coming from below. It's just a wetness and a moisture coming from above. It doesn't rise from below. It comes completely from above. And that's a reflection of the spiritual character of dew, that it's a blessing from God, that it's unrelated. That's why Chazal say, Tal loy mi etzar. Tal is never held back. That's why we don't have to daven for Tal, because Tal is never held back. So Nissan, which is a Serusa D'Liela, a time when Hashem just generates his flow on his own, we daven Tal, which is a flow that comes on its own. And Tishrei, when we daven Geshem, it's because over there we have to do work, and commensurate to our work, Hashem will respond. So that's what it says. And this is the reason that the blessings of rain we do in Shmini Atzeres Tishrei, or Birchas Tal, and the blessings of Tal Ube Pesach, Nissan is in Pesach, which is Nissan. Rain always comes through the arousal of below. We have to stimulate and arouse. Tal and dew, dew comes down from above on its own. So that's one difference between Nissan and Tishrei, is that whether do we have to provoke it or does it come on its own? There's another difference between Nissan and Tishrei. As I said earlier, both Tishrei and Nissan are both Rosh, they're both heads, which means they are the beginning of a channel of life, a flow to the world. Like the head is the beginning of life in the human body. So both of them are a head, both channel and generate a whole new beginning, a whole new flow. But the flow of energy that comes at Rosh Hashanah on Tishrei for the whole year, hu bigvul umida, is measured. It's measured. Shebeklalis, in general, the type of energy that is absorbed and enclosed in the creations in their pnimius. We internalize it. And to internalize, being that we're finite and limited creatures, to internalize something, we can only internalize a limited energy, something that is commensurate to us. So Hashem, and therefore we say, Hashem judges us all and gives each and every one of us exactly in accordance to what we can handle, what we deserve. So it's a very detailed form of a hashpah given to each being in accordance to their capacity, in accordance to their deservance, and so on and so forth. And that's why it's more like Tishrei, we receive all the blessings for our natural existence. For our natural blessings. Bana chaya mezayna, children, life, health, sustenance. These are all part of the natural realm of existing. So that God decides on Tishrei. Mi yichya, mi yamas, all the stuff that we say in that. But shehu shayrish ta'nagas hateva, which is the shayrish, the root of the natural order. But when we say Nissan is the Rosh, the head of months, why is Nissan? Now, Rosh Hashanah, he didn't have to explain it. Everybody knows that Rosh Hashanah, we draw down life for the whole year. That's why it's a Yom Hadin, in which we daven for the whole year. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Ksiva v'chasima taiva. We want to be inscribed for a good year. But that Nissan is also like a Rosh Hashanah. And that energy flows in Nissan for the whole year. Unless you learn Chassidus, you don't know that. And Nissan is Nissan. But we learn Chassidus, say, no, it's a Rosh, it's a Hamshacha for the whole year. but much higher than Tishrei. In what sense? This all the months receive their energy from Chodesh Nissan. Where it's compared to a head. Which from the head comes energy to all the limbs of the body. Is to regarding a whole different thing. This is regarding the drawing forth of the infinite light of God that's above the worlds. More shayach to Torah and mitzvahs. There is natural life, and then there is Torah and mitzvahs life. Natural life is life of, as we said earlier, health, children, sustenance, your business, your natural world. But then there is the Torah and mitzvahs world of a Yid. When a Yid learns Torah and a Yid does a mitzvah, he channels the infinite light in the world. We don't see it yet, but we're actually channeling every time. The beginning of that Hamshacha begins in Nissan. Just like Matan Torah really began in Nissan. Creation began in Tishrei, which creation is setting the parameters of nature. Hashem creates the natural order. And that's why every year he blesses the natural order, or recreates, and therefore, but it's all within the natural range. And Nissan, the Eibishter, begins the special relationship with the Jewish people, Hachodesh of Geula, Hachodesh of redemption. Redemption means going out of the natural order, touching the infinite. How do we bring the infinite in the world? Through Torah mitzvahs. And what's the first mitzvah? Hachodesh Lachem, Hachodesh Nissan. That's the first mitzvah. That's the beginning of the hamshacha, of the flow of bli gevul, of the infinite and limitless light. So now, which is above the worlds, which translates into miracles. So even though we generally always davening for Hashem for His blessings in our natural life, from time to time, who doesn't want a miracle? The miracles, the window from where miracles comes from the world is this Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah is when natural blessings come to the world. This Shabbos is when the window opens up for completely new energy that transcends creation and is the source for every miracle that's going to happen in the upcoming year. It makes its way into creation this on Rosh Chodesh Nissan. The word Nissan has the word Nes in it. Miracles. And that's why what happened, Taka, in the first Nissan? Yetzias Mitzrayim, miracles. Hashem broke all the order. This is the root of the Hanhag of miracles. That's beyond nature. And this will also explain that the creation of the world was in Tishrei. The Yetzias Mitzrayim. What were the two major events? In Tishrei, there was what? Brias ha'olam, God creates the world. And in Nissan is Yetzias Mitzrayim. Well, these two events, Brias ha'olam and Yetzias Mitzrayim, express the content of what these 2 months are. Brias ha'olam, what does Brias ha'olam mean? The creation of the world. Huzeh shenivra olam madudu mugbal. This, that the world was created to be madud, to be measured and to be limited, according to the rules of nature. So Hashem is setting nature into motion. On Tishrei, Hashem sets nature into motion. That means He sets a fixed order of rules and regulations, of a system. Hashem sets up a system. And what's Yetzias Mitzrayim? He breaks that very system that He created in Tishrei. He exits the system. In other words, He shows us that we're not bound by the system. The Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim means exact. Mitzrayim means world. The world is called Mitzrayim because Meitzar means narrow. Well, every system is narrow. It's compared to the infinite possibility that's beyond the system. Every system is called restriction and limited, finite. And Yetzias Mitzrayim means to go out of the limitations. Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzirah is the going out, Mehem Matzarim, from the constrictions, v'hagbalas, and the limitations, the oilam through revealing the Oyer HaBligvul, through revealing the infinite light. Now that's very special that we're learning this tonight, because tonight is Erev Rosh Chodesh Nissan. Friday night is already Rosh Chodesh Nissan. Tomorrow night. So tonight is already Erev Rosh Chodesh Nissan. So we always know that Erev is the Hachana. So we're learning this, and the Eibishter wanted me to learn this because he froze my brain today, and everything. I can either look at it from a Tishrei perspective, or I can look at it from a Nissan perspective. From a Tishrei perspective, I can say, because I traveled this week a lot, and I spoke a lot, and I gave out all my energy, and I just couldn't. I was exhausted beyond exhaustion today, and everything I tried, it wasn't going. It was like shut down. And then mamash, like an hour, just right a little while before the shir, I said, I tried that one, and then I went to this one. I said, this is flowing. The Eibishter wanted we should learn this one. Now, because V'yetzias Mitzrayim is Yetziim and Mitzarim V'agbalas Da'olam, we're going out from all the limitations of the world. Al Yedei Gili Oyer HaBligvul, because of the revelation of the infinite light. Shalamayla Ma'olamais, it's higher than worlds. Now we'll understand. Now the Rebbe is going to say that how these two things actually, which two things? He just now explained to us two differences between Nissan and Tishrei. The first difference was that Tishrei is dependent on our work, and Nissan is a gift from above. The second difference is that Nissan is the head for miracles, which is infinite energy. And Tishrei is the source of finite energy. Now we'll understand that these two things go together. Since Tishrei is dependent on us, we are the stimulators, we trigger. We can only trigger since it's coming from a finite place, because we're finite. And therefore, our koiches, when we shake the rope, we can only shake it so high, so strong. So when it goes up, 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 it can only reach a limited place. And therefore, what comes down is a hamshacha, a flow that's shayach to the world, that has a relationship to the world. But Nissan is independent of us. It's God initiating. So God is initiating from His true place, which is Ein Sof. He triggers it. And being that He has no limits, so therefore, what's flowing is the energy that's limitless. Now, many Maimar Chassidus, we're learning a Nissan Maimar. And in the Nissan Maimar, it explains the Maila of Nissan over Tishrei. When we learn a Tishrei Maimar, it explains the Maila of Tishrei over Nissan. Each one has its quality. Because ultimately we say, Lamaisa Yadecha Tichsaif, the Eibishter desires what we should do. But still, now that it's Nissan, the Maila of Nissan is shining. And what's the Maila of Nissan is that when the Eibishter is stimulating, it's much higher than when we stimulate. Yesh Laima, we can say the Shnei Inyanim Eila Tluyim Zeh B'Zeh, that these two Inyanim are dependent one on the other. Every hamshacha that comes through a serusa de latata, the arousal from below, which is avodas hanevram, which is the avoid of the creations, meduda is measured umugbeles, and it is limited lefi oifen amata, according to the. That's why we know the harder you try in Elul, the more work you put in Aseres Yemei Tshuva, you're going to get the greater hamshacha. The Eibishter, we say the Lashon, Ani L'Doidi, V'Doidi Li. In equivalent to the Ani L'Doidi, you have to put in first. And then Doidi Li. And that's why every person is different. And every year is different, depending on how deep your avoda was, that Tishrei, or that Elul. But in Nissan, it's unrelated to us. The Hamshacha that comes through in this Oididus from above, Mitzad Atzma, Hu Kifi Oifen HaMaila, is accordance to the one above, because it's coming from Him. So it's reflecting Him. It has His fingerprints on it. And He's infinite. So it's an infinite flow. What's coming from us has our character on it. And we're finite. So the flow, even though it's a flow coming from Hashem, but since it was as a result of our work, we have our flavor, our characters impressed upon it. And that's why it's finite. So now we need to understand if this is the case. So we go back to the beginning of the Maimer. He said, if you remember, he brought the machlokes between Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua. If the world was created in Nissan, if the world was created in Tishrei, and what did we resolve? That in thought, the world was created in Nissan. In actuality, it was created in Tishrei, but in thought. But the question is, how can God even think of the world in Nissan? Nissan is a time of Ein Sof, of infinite. Well, I mean, if Hashem is thinking of the world, means Hashem is thinking of a fixed system, which belongs to Tishrei. If the Eibishter wanted to split the thought of the world and the creation of the world into two set times, so he should have done it like this. First year Tishrei, he will think of the world, and the next year Tishrei, he will create the world. And then we would say, let's say about this year, that this year is 5779, and also 5780. It's both. To the Eibishter's thought, it's 5780, and to the Eibishter's action, it's 5779. The duality would be not a duality of Tishrei Nissan, it would be a duality of two different years. It would make sense, because thinking of the world is only appropriate in Tishrei when it's all about the world. Nissan, it's not about the world. Nissan, it's about God. So why is he thinking about a world? Nissan is the Eibishter revealing himself. Ein Sof. So what's the concept of a world over here? That's the question. We need to understand. Why did the Eibishter have a thought to create the world? Hoysa ben Nissan was in Nissan. What's the shaykhis of creating the world? Which is medida v'hagabala, which is limited l'Nissan to Nissan gilui oir habligvul. In Chassidus, we learn all the time that creating the world was not a gilui, was not a revelation where Hashem reveals himself. Quite on the contrary, creation comes about through Hashem constricting and hiding and tzimtzumim, contracting the infinite. Total opposite of what Nissan is. Nissan is all about breaking out of all boundaries and limitations. So how can it be that the germ to create the world, the very seed, the nucleus of the world, which is the Eibishter thought about it, is in Nissan? What the Rebbe basically does in this mimer, which no one realizes, the Rebbe redefines the cosmos in this mimer. The Rebbe restructures all of existence in this mimer. The Rebbe is going to explain that creation is not what we think creation is, limits and finite. The real teichen of creation is the gili of the Eibishter's bli gvul. But in order for it to be a real gili of bli gvul, the Eibishter wants that gili of bli gvul to be in gvul. So he creates a gvul so that he can reveal his bli gvul in the gvul. So then the real definition, just 1 minute, I'll explain that in a second. The real gvul means limit, and bli gvul means without limitation, limitless. So the real meaning of the gvul is not gvul. Meaning the real gvul of the finite is not finite. It's a challenge for the infinite to be able to express the infinite. So then creation is really not finite, because if its whole intention is to be a finite receiver of an infinite giloi, of an infinite source, then its true definition is it's serving the infinite, not serving the finite, and it's about the infinite. Once you do that, you've already prepared the whole world for Mashiach, because you're now rewired the definition from its very, very underlying structure. Basically, what the Rebbe is doing is he's redefining Tzimtzum Harishon. That Tzimtzum Harishon is not Tzimtzum. It's very, very, he's going very, very deep. And the Rebbe does this in a lot of Maimarim. He always goes back to the same Nakuda. He tinkers with the very, very, and in this Inyan he goes much deeper than all his predecessors. To do one Inyan, this is the ultimate revelation that needs to be revealed in order for Mashiach to be here. You need to redefine the tzimtzum. Not just to, I once saw a very interesting letter from one of the older Chassidim. He's writing to the Chassidim. We could talk a little about the Rebbe now because we're coming to the Rebbe's birthday, Yud Aleph Nissan. So he writes, this is a Chassid going back in the Chafs. His name is Ram Paris. It's one of those beautiful letters. So he writes that, Chassidim, we're just totally not getting who we're dealing with, he says. we just don't have any hasaga who we're talking about. We don't understand it. He says, don't you read it? Don't you realize there are 7 Rabbeim, and this Rebbe corresponds to Shabbos? Which Shabbos is shaloi be'erech higher than the 6 days of the week. He's the Shvi, Kol HaShvi and Chavivin. Do you realize what's going on? And he's especially the Mechaptzach. He says, especially when we become aware. Wer sind gewend the sechs? He says it in Yiddish. Who were the 6? Azelechem beren. Such bears. He says that they were the 6, and we're saying the 7th. Shaloi be'erech. And then he goes on and he says, and then he goes bepnimius to explain this Inyan. He says, and the way he understands it, is that the 6 were mamshech the oirein soif shalifnei hatzimtzum. And they broke the tzimtzum to be megala the oirein soif that's before the tzimtzum. That's the avoid of the Chabad Rabbeim. To bring down gilui oirein soif that's lifnei hatzimtzum that's before the tzimtzum. To blast through the tzimtzum. He says, but what's the avoid of the 7th? The avoid of the 7th is to redefine the tzimtzum itself. And that's a whole new dimension. And you see it here in the mind. To redefine the tzimtzum itself. And that's what I'm saying. The Rebbe is redefining creation. Once he's going to show you that really creation belongs to Nissan, if creation belongs to Tishrei, then creation is Taka Gavul. If the creation belongs to Nissan, then the creation is really Bli Gavul. It's infinite. Let's see as we learn. This argument between Rebbe Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, who gam b'negei lazman de geula hasida. Remember we had before, Rebbe Eliezer holds the world was created in Tishrei, and Rabbi Yeshua holds the world was created in Nissan. Now Rebbe Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua have the same argument regarding when Mashiach is supposed to come. Rebbe Eliezer Svirolei, Rebbe Eliezer says, the b'Nissan nigalu, in Nissan we were redeemed, u'b'Tishrei asidim ligoel. The future redemption is going to be in Tishrei. That's Rebbe Eliezer's opinion. Rabbi Yeshua Svirolei, Rabbi Yeshua holds, the b'Nissan nigalu, we were redeemed in Nissan, u'b'Nissan asidim ligoel. The first redemption was in Nissan, and the current redemption, I used to say up and coming, now I say the current. The current redemption is going to be in Nissan. And the Tzemach Tzedek says, the Azla l'shetusayu ba'ofen ha'geula. They are going according to their shita in the manner of the geula. Of how is the geula going to take place? They both, Tzemach Tzedek explains that the reason why they have this argument, Rabbi Yeshua says in Nissan we were going to be redeemed. Rabbi Eliezer says in Tishrei, it's because they both perceive the redemption in a different way. The Rebbe Eliezer Svirolei, there's another argument between Rebbe Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. This is the third argument already between Rebbe Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, which he's going to state now. One was regarding the time of creation. The other one was the time of the redemption. And the third one is, what does it need in order for the redemption to happen? Rebbe Eliezer holds that we're not going to be redeemed unless we do tshuva. Rebbe Eliezer Svirolei, in Yisroel oisem tshuva negalim. If Yidden do tshuva, we're going to be redeemed. Vimlav ein negalim. If we don't do tshuva, we're not being redeemed. That's Rabbi Eliezer. And that's why he holds the B'Tishrei Hasidin Ligoel. What's the time of the year that we do tshuva? What's the tshuva season? Tishrei. And as we said earlier, the whole idea of Tishrei is a Sarusa de Latata. We need to do it. So that's why, since Rabbi Eliezer holds that we need to do it, we need to do tshuva. And when is the main time of the year that we stimulate? Tishrei. And why do we do Tishrei? Tshuva. So that's why the Geula, which comes as a result of our tshuva, is going to take place in Tishrei. That's when, as he brings from the Rambam, tshuva is then accepted much stronger than any other time of the year. If so, why Yetzias Mitzrayim was in Nissan? Even Rebbe Eliezer agrees Yetzias Mitzrayim was in Nissan. That's because by Yetzias Mitzrayim we didn't do anything. Now only Rebbe Eliezer holds only this geula comes through tshuva. Then the Jewish people were not capable of doing tshuva, and Hashem didn't wait for their tshuva. Hashem just came and took them out. This that the Geula of Yetzias Mitzrayim was in Nissan. The Geula Asida and the future redemption is going to be B'Tishrei. B'Tishrei who? They are different in their nature. The Geula of Yetzias Mitzrayim the Geula of Yetzias Mitzrayim was through a revelation from above. Even Rebbe Eliezer agrees that was in Nissan. But the Geula Asida Tiyal Yedei Tshuva. But the future redemption is going to be through Tshuva, which is Avodah Samshal Yisroel, which is the Avodah of Yidden. That's what's going to be in Tishrei. V'zeu gam hatam al zeh shel Geula Yetzias Mitzrayim v'chein ha-Geula shel achrei hoisa Geula sheyesh achrei ha-Galus. Which this will also explain, according to Rebbe Eliezer, why all the previous redemptions weren't lasting. We went out of Egypt and we fell back into exile. It didn't last. Only this redemption is going to last forever and ever. What's the difference? And the reason is because when we went out of Mitzrayim, we didn't do anything. It was completely a gift from above. And anything that we don't do, that we're gifted, remember I said before, there's a mila, and when we work, the quality of when we work is that it connects to us more, because we work, so we're able to hold on to it. It becomes part of us. When we're gifted with a gift, so even though the source of the gift is infinite, but since our holding on to it is not infinite, because it's something that we didn't work on, so we're not so much of a keli for it. So that's why we had it for a while, and then it left us. So that's the reason. And that's called an akeva. The redemption was a female redemption. It's called an akeva. Where do we find that? Chazal say that when we went out of Mitzrayim, we sang Shira. Shira is female song. When Mashiach will come, we're going to sing Shir Chadash, a new song, male. So physically, the male is stronger than the female. So if you say a female redemption, it means a weaker redemption. A male redemption means a stronger redemption. So will a boy be born or a girl was born? Every geula is compared to a birth. Galus is considered to a pregnancy, and geula is a birth. So the geula of Mitzrayim was a baby girl, and so was all the other geulas. But the geula of Mashiach is going to be a baby boy. This week's parsha, Isha ki sazriya v'yolda zachar. So the Arachaim Hachodesh says, this week's parsha, Tazriya, a woman will give birth, she will give birth to a boy. So the Arachaim says, that's the neshama of Mashiach. That's what we're talking about. Isha is Knesset Yisroel, that's us. Ki Tazriya, all the work we do in Torah and mitzvahs throughout the Golus, we're Tazriya. And what do we produce? V'yolda Zacha, the neshama of Mashiach, is finally going to be redeemed. And he's called a boy because he says the shirish of his neshama is from Alma the Tchura, from the male world, and it's very strong, and therefore it's going to last forever. Shir Chadash, a male song. Okay? But here's the thing. What determines? So this seems to be, where we're giving a lot of attention or a lot of applause to the male. The male is strong. The baby girl, it won't last. But in here itself is the answer to that as well for the women. What produces a boy? Who produces a boy? The mother, not the father. Isha ki sazriya v'yolda zachar. It doesn't say ish, even though the created child, so it's a partnership of father and mother. Yet the boy comes dafka from the mother. Isha ki. So in Chassidus it says, it means Isha ki tazriya, when we're the wife of Hashem. Hashem is the male, we're the wife. Isha ki tazriya, when we're the ones who are responsible for the redemption. Because we do tshuva, we're doing the work. Then the older zachar, it's going to be born a boy, which means it's going to last forever. All the other redemptions came as a gift from above. It was ish mazriya. The man was the one who was mazriya. The Gemara says, ish mazriya tchila yaledes nekeva, that the gender of the child is determined in a child, in regarding is in the conception of the child, if the man or the woman is the one that is the first in their transmitting of the seed. So the Gemara says, ish ki tazriya, when a man, then it's going to be a boy, a girl. The man is, And there's a whole mimer in the Alter Rebbe this week in the Parsha to explain this Inyan. Why does it cross? Why is the man responsible for the girl and the woman responsible for the boy? That's the way it is. But in any case, in matters of what it matters over here, we're saying like this. Rebbe Eliezer holds that the Nissan, the first redemption was when the Nissan. But why? Because it didn't come from us. It came from God. That's why it was what? That's why it was a girl. It didn't last. However, the upcoming edition is going to come from the woman. It's going to come from our tshuva. Because it's going to come from our tshuva, it's going to be a boy, it's going to last. That's Rebbe Eliezer. And the future redemption is going to be an eternal redemption, where there's no exile afterwards, a male. When the man has to stimulate, then what? It's going to be an akeva, a girl. We turn over the page. But when the woman is the one who's mazriat chila yoleda zachar, it's going to be a boy. The Rabbi Yeshua Svira Lei. What does Rabbi Yeshua hold? Rabbi Yeshua holds both redemptions, the past and the future, are both going to be a Nissan. Svira Lei loy bekesef tigalu. Not with money will you be redeemed. Means you don't have to pay for the redemption. God promised, and He's going to do it. Not dependent on anything related to us. Loi b'tshuva b'maisim toivim, not with tshuva and good deeds. Ta'afilu ein oisim tshuva negal. And Rabbi Yeshua says, even if the Jewish people don't do tshuva, the geula is going to come. Lachein svira lei. That's why Rabbi Yeshua holds the b'nisan asidin legal, that the geula is going to be in Nisan, because Nisan is the time when we get a free lunch. Because Nissan is the time when Hashem is giving unconditionally. But if that's the, you can have a question. If it's going to happen again from the Eibishter, so then how's it going to be a male? Why is it going to be a boy? Then it has to be a girl. Remember, we said every time that we need to produce together, us and God, but He is the one in the main production, then it's a girl. And a girl means it's not lasting. And we know that the future redemption is going to last. If so, you're going to have the question, why is the future redemption going to be an eternal redemption? It's going to be a male. Even though the future redemption is also going to be from a revelation from above. It's because the revelation that's about to hit us now in the future, in the redemption, in the current redemption. I hope the Rebbe will be moichel me that I keep on translating as Geula Asida, not Geula Asida, but current. Okay? Let's do that. And the current redemption is going to be what? It's going to come in Makom Nailei Ma'oid, is going to come from such a high place. Shegam Kisheish Mazriat Chila Yaleda Zachar. You hear an amazing thing. Because the future redemption is going to come from God, but such a high place from God, He's not bound by the rule. You know which rule He's not bound? That when the man is the one who's the dominant one, that it creates a girl. That's from within a certain system. But when it's coming from totally beyond the system, from somewhere so high, then from there, even when the male is the one that's Mazriya first, it will still be a boy, not a girl. Where do we find that? Like it says in the pasuk, you hear there's a pasuk that says this. And Litzion, they will say in the future, Ish, the Ish yulad ba. That even though it's Ish, it's going to be the birth is going to come in the future from Ish. It's going to come from the man. God is going to do it, not we. It's going to be an Ish that's going to do it. But who is going to be born? Not an Isha, an Ish yulad ba. A boy is going to be born. A man is going to be born, not a girl in the sense. Why? And the pasuk explains why. Because v'hu yechoyneneha elyon. Because it's going to be established elyon from a very high place. In the end of in the end of the first chapter of Tzaddik Ches, v'hu yechoyneneha elyon. It's going to come from it's going to be established from such a high place The kasher agilui hu memokim na'ale ma'oid, that when the gilui, when the revelation is from a very high place, for who yechayneh elyon, that he's going to establish it elyon from a very high place, azai, then ish ve'ish yulad. The gam kishe ish mazriat chila, even when the man is mazriat first, noilad ish, it gives birth a man, which is a zachar, which is a permanent redemption. Because it's gonna, that means that the Geula from Mitzrayim was not from such a high place. And since the Geula from Mitzrayim was not such a high place like the Geula of Mashiach, it had certain boundaries. And what was its boundary? Its boundary was that since it was coming from God, we couldn't have it forever. We had it for a couple of 100 years, then we lost it. But the Chiddush of Mashiach is, it's going to come from such a high place that even though it's going to be coming from Hashem, it's still going to be a boy, it's still going to last forever. And we need to understand. So now the Rebbe is asking a big question. The Rambam paskins. That what? Regarding to the manner of the redemption, we have a psak halacha in Rambam. The Rambam paskins like Rebbe Eliezer, not like Rebbe Yeshua. That what? The Rambam says that the Geula is dependent on tshuva. Rambam she'ein Yisroel negolem elo b'tshuva. That Yidden are only going to be redeemed with tshuva. The good news is that the Rebbe said we did this already. Tshuva get done. Whatever tshuva was necessary, we've done it already. Problem with the Jewish people is they don't believe what I just said. It's done already. Up get done. The Rebbe says that's not something that we don't understand. Not because there's lacking in tshuva. The Rebbe said it again and again and again. And he knows that the Jewish people did the tshuva they needed to do to bring the Geulah. It's done already. Why he's not here is a question. Not because it's still dependent on tshuva. The Friediger Rebbe, the sixth Chabad Rebbe, said, if we do tshuva now, Mashiach will come. La'al to the tshuva, la'al to the Geulah. We do tshuva, Mashiach will come. But the Rebbe said that from when the Friediger Rebbe said it, another 50 years passed, in which the whole tshuva movement started, and the Jewish people, thousands of Yidden came back and did tshuva. That's enough. We did tshuva. But we still know that what? But if we say that we Ein Yisrael Negalim Elo B'tshuva, then according to the Rambam, the Geula is supposed to be in Tishrei. But we know it's not that way. Rambam doesn't talk about it, but still we know it's accepted that what? That Nissan Negalu, that the Geula is going to be a Nissan. So how do we now grabbing both ends? On the one hand, we're saying that that Mashiach will only come in Tshuva. But on the other hand, we paskin that the Geula is going to be in Nissan. We just established that if the Geula is going to be in Tishrei, it's because it's only if we have to do tshuva. That's going to be in Tishrei. If the Geula comes for free, then it's a Nissan. But we're saying now that we're accepting both. We say that we have to do tshuva, and without tshuva, we're not chas v'shalom, we're not going to be redeemed. But on the other hand, we're saying that what? That the Geula comes in Nissan. So it doesn't seem to fit. It's a contradiction. Because if the Geula, I know we did it already, but in concept, we're supposed to do that the Geula requires tshuva, and if the Geula comes from tshuva, it's supposed to be in Tishrei. And why do we paskin that the Geula is going to be in Nissan? Halacha, the Geula is going to be in Nissan. This is a psak halacha in Chassidus. It's not a psak halacha in Rambam, but it's a psak in many Maimoreh Chassidus. Shebemedrash echriya, that the Medrash seems to be leaning the Sasam Kedas Rabbi Yeshua. In other words, there are places where it's brought a machlokes, but there are in other places where the Medrash does not bring a machlokes, and the Medrash just says plain, Benisan Nigalu, Benisan Asidan Ligoil. And since the Medrash doesn't tell us arguments over there, is a sign that the accepted what we finally accepted in the end is that the Geula belongs to Nissan. The Benisan Asidan Ligoil at the time of the redemption is a Nissan. We can explain the explanation of this. According to what it says in Tanya, Gewaldig. Shekol hagiluyim de la'asid lavoi. The Alter Rebbe lays out a fundamental principle. What's the fundamental principle? The Alter Rebbe says that all the giluyim of la'asid lavoi, all the revelations of Mashiach, tluyim b'maseinu v'avodeseinu b'meshech zman ha'golos. Everything that's going to be revealed when Mashiach comes is dependent on everything we do during the time of exile. In other words, according to the Alter Rebbe, exile is a time that we're planting seeds, and Mashiach is a time when we reap the fruits from what we planted during exile. Now hold it. Does Rabbi Yeshua agree with that or not? Rabbi Yeshua says that what? That you don't have to do tshuva. That means it's not dependent on what we do. Loi bekesev v'loi b'maisim tovim. But the Alter Rebbe says clearly that, and he doesn't seem to say this in an argument. He says that everything of Mashiach is not a new thing. Mashiach is everything we've produced during the Galus. So how do we reconcile the two? What? No, we're going to see that whatever we accomplish is not limited. We'll see soon. The Indians that will be pashtus l'chol. You're right. You're touching on something that he's going to talk about. The Indians that will be pashtus l'chol adayas. The pashtus l'chol adayas. Even Rabbi Yeshua agrees that the reason there is a galus before the geula is because we need to do the work to produce the geula. El Shadas Rabbi Yeshua. So how do we fit? According to Rabbi Yeshua, Zeh shal yadei maseinu v'avodeseinu b'zman ha'galus yumshechu hagiluyim de la'ased lavai. Yes, Rabbi Yeshua holds that our maisim and our avodah during the time of galus will produce the revelations of the future. Who? Loi metzad atzmo. It's not that they have the potency to produce it. Ella lefi sheba maseinu v'avodeseinu b'zman ha'galus. In other words, it's our work during the time of exile that's needed to produce the Geula. But what makes it potent, what makes our work be able to produce such a ginormous Geula, like the Geula that's going to be when Mashiach comes, is because within our work that we're doing lies not our power, lies God's power. The Gilui, the revelation from above. So really, Rabbi Yeshua is saying, Mashiach is so unbelievable, it's not nothing, it's something that we can't produce. It has to come from God. But yet we have to do it. So if we can't do it, how do we do it? In our work that we're doing, we're going to see soon, lies God's power, not our power. And that's why even Rabbi Yeshua, who places the Geula in Nissan, agrees that it's dependent on our work for 2,000 years. Now, based on this concept, we can also explain how we reconcile the Rambam, who says that what? That the Geula will only come when we do tshuva. And at the same time, he says that Mashiach is coming in Nissan. Not he says, but it's accepted that Mashiach is coming in Nissan. He says a gewaldige thing. When we say that when Mashiach, the Rambam says, Ein Yisroel Negolim Elo B'tshuva. The Rebbe's Chiddush over here is unbelievable. Rambam says, Ein Yisroel Negolim Elo B'tshuva. But the Rambam also says something. That doesn't, hold it, if that's the case, if the Rambam Paskin is Ein Yisroel Negolim Elo B'tshuva, so how does the Rambam say we have an obligation on Imam and B'emunah Shalema B'viyas HaMashiach? How do you know? The Rambam says that if someone doesn't believe that Mashiach will come, the person is a kofer. He's a non-believer. But hold it, if it's dependent on us, if we don't do tshuva, we're not getting it, and we know that the Eibishter gave us bechira, free choice, so what happens if we never choose to do tshuva, chas v'shalom? We can't have the geula. So how can you say that we have to believe with certainty? Maybe yeah, maybe no. The Rambam says these words, Hifticha Torah, the Torah promises Yisroel oisim tshuva, that Yidden will do tshuva. No, yeah, it's dependent on tshuva, but the Torah makes a promise that Yidden are going to do tshuva. The Rambam says that the Torah promises that the Jewish people will do tshuva. We have a promise from above that the Yidden will do tshuva. So even though it's dependent on tshuva, yet we have a promise from God or from the Torah. The Torah promised us that Yidden will do tshuva. But hold it. We have free choice. We know that God doesn't meddle with free choice. So how can the Torah promise something? It's one thing that the Eibishter doesn't control, our choices. So how can we make it a promise that in the end we will do tshuva? So we'll see. How can we reconcile these two things? Because this that Yidden are going to do tshuva in the end of the galus, the Rambam says miyad, they're nigal. The Rebbe is going to be emphasized very strong. This miyad, we're going to see soon later. The type of tshuva that the Yidden are going to do in the end of their galus, the tshuva that we're talking about, even though we're doing tshuva, but inserted in that tshuva is the koyach of the revelation from above. Inyan Nissan, which is the idea of Nissan. Now it explains that it's in other words, you're right, Rebbe Eliezer's tshuva, what Rebbe Eliezer was talking about, a tshuva that comes completely from us. The tshuva is coming from us, it's our tshuva. So according to him, it belongs in Tishrei. The Geula comes in Tishrei. But the Rambam's tshuva is different than Rebbe Eliezer's tshuva. The Rambam's tshuva is not im Yisroel oisim tshuva negolem, if not. The Rambam's tshuva is a tshuva of ifticha Torah. That Torah, which is coming from above, promises that we're going to do tshuva, even though it's our tshuva. And we're going to see soon, it's a full free choice. It's going to be tshuva like tshuva, which comes from us. But at the same time, as we're going to see how we're going to reconcile these two, it's coming from above. We're doing tshuva, but it's coming from above. Since it's coming from above, even though it's coming through our tshuva, it belongs in Nissan, because Nissan is the time for everything that comes from above. Yeah, obviously it doesn't have to know, because there's many places that prove that after Mashiach comes, the rest of Yidden are going to do tshuva. There has to be a certain tshuva that needs to be done before. Nicht alle Yidden darfen tshuva tun. Yeah, that's a Litvische Meise. No, but this idea that we say that when Mashiach, but this is what people keep on threatening. That I hear that all the time. I'm saying no. I mean to say that people are always saying this thing that when the future comes, 4/5 of the Jewish people are not going to be redeemed. That happened before, but we shouldn't chas v'shalom put it on the future. No, it doesn't apply to the future. It doesn't apply to this Geula. And this Geula, no Jew will. Avram Fried already changed that. No Jew will be left behind. Every Jew is going out. Even the Jews that support BDS, even the Jews that, who are the farthest Yidden that are like completely self-hating Jews, if you call them, removed from everything. Even they're going to come back. Erev Rav too. Yeah, because no more Erev Rav anymore. Everybody's being elevated. All Jews. All Jews. The Rebbe never spoke about Erev Rav. I know a lot of rabbis do, but the Rebbe never spoke about it. There must be a reason for it. These rabbis are looking at the Torah before the Rebbe took care of all these things. They're right. They're looking at it from the Torah without the Rebbe. The Rebbe changed the very rules that these rabbis are talking about. He sweetened all the judgments. Just like the Baal Shem Tov sweetened all the judgments, the Lubavitcher Rebbe sweetened all the judgments. So therefore, he showed us that every Jew is a Yid. And we shouldn't say, once you walk around with the Erev Rav idea, you can actually go and spit every Jew out. Yeah, I don't like this guy, Erev Rav. Like that, Erev Rav. Chas v'shalom. We don't do that. Alle Yidden, you grab a Jew, you put on tefillin with him, fix him. That's it. No more Erev Rav. And even if he doesn't put on tefillin, if he gets angry when you ask him to put on tefillin, that too is a sign he's Jewish. Also no Erev Rav. So We do a tikkun on all these yidden. V'yuven zal pima de'isa b'medrash. This will be understood. But what does this mean? So the main mimer is going to explain this idea. It's a gewaldig idea. How we can do tshuva. Oh, well, by the way, I want to tell you a cool story. I want to hear a really cool story. Regarding to what he mentioned over here. He mentioned over here that he mentioned over here that the Giluyim of Yamaisa Mashiach, the revelations that are going to happen in Mashiach's world, is Tuluyim, is dependent, Mamaseinu v'avadiseinu, and our work, Kozma Meshach HaGolus. It's dependent on our work during the whole time of Golus. That's what he mentioned. And that's a quote from Tanya, chapter 37 in Tanya. And then the Alter Rebbe goes to explain why. So he explains what I explained Shabbos by the Kiddush this past Shabbos. That the way we elevate the world is we have to elevate Klipas Noiga. And once we elevate Klipas Noiga, which is the entire world, all of these things, the Shalish Klipas Atmeis, the three impure Klipas are going to lose their source of energy, and they're going to fall to the side. They're automatically going to collapse, they're going to fall, because they're going to suffocate, because they're not going to have any life. And that's what we're seeing. As I mentioned Shabbos, I was talking all about it, how we're seeing it in the world today. That Klipas Noiga is being elevated, like the concept of the Chazer being elevated. And that but the left foot of it is being amputated and upgehakt and getting moving. That's what I discussed on Shabbos. And so this week when I went to New York, and I spoke in Crown Heights for that women event, I used this as a germ of my talk. This whole idea. And I explained this whole idea of Klipas Noiga being elevated. I just wanted to show where we're seeing that Mashiach is happening in the world these days. Whatever it says in Tanya, it says in the newspapers. The two are evening out. Fine. They gave me 40 minutes to speak. And I also wanted to speak a lot about Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach and what that means. So I tried to concentrate. But in the end, it ended up that my talk regarding the current events and what's happening ended up being about 32 minutes. It left me only with about 7-8 minutes to talk about, I should say, more pneumistic inyanim, that has to do more with our avoda, as opposed to. So when I left, the people loved it. The place was really like, wow, everybody really loved it. But when I left, I myself was feeling a little bad because I felt that maybe I spent too much time in discussing the world events as opposed to more in Yanim of Benegay to Yidden and their avoda and so on. Okay. So then later when I went back to the place I was staying at my sister's house, I opened up the Rebbe's letters. I wanted to get some kind of a feedback. I wanted to get feedback. So I open up and the letter says, Yeratzen, something that the Divrei Yisroel, the Yisroel that you spoke, should have its effect, and boom, 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 and it goes in, and then he starts speaking all about a Maayon, and our place is Maayon, that the Maayon has to be connected to the Maayon, on the one hand, means to the very, very root, but on the other hand, it has to go out chutza, and whatever, very nice. And then, but this was the clincher. In the end, he says, this that you write, that when you're teaching Tanya, you feel like that from Perek Lamed Hey in Tanya, is beginning to speak very deep in Yanim. V'chulu. That means, and therefore, you don't want to teach further. Kedai, the Rebbe says. It's kedai that at least, when you're teaching Tanya, it's worthy, it's fitting, you should at least learn till after Perek Lamed Zayin. Because it's an inyan kloli b'yoser, it's a very general, important topic, and it could be understood, even b'shitchias, even on a light level, even l'fnei balabatim, even for people that are not well versed in Chassidus, you can explain this idea. And that was it. So I figured, my whole speech, I spent 30 minutes, was explaining the chapter Lamed, Zayin, and Tanya. That's the parak that I spoke, explaining this idea of Klipas Noiga being elevated, the three impure Klipas being cut off. How many places does it say in the Rebbe's entire set of letters that Perek Lamed Zayin is a very important chapter? So it was a tremendous relief. I realized, I said, am I kidding you? He says, Perek Lamed Zayin is an important chapter. Yeah, that was a nice moment. Let's continue inside. It's understood based on what it says in the Medrash. Marshal a melech, it is a marshal to a king. The Medrash says that the marshal of a king, and he was in love, and to his bride that he loved so much, he showed her so much love that he called her my daughter. Then he called her my sister. He loved her so much, he called her his mother. So this is the relationship, the king with this woman, and he shows her every form of affection. Affection as a daughter, affection as a sister, and affection as a mother. It is explained in the Drushim. The Gimel in Yanim Elu, Biti Achoisi Imi, these three in Yanim, of Biti and Achoisi and Imi, my daughter, my sister, my mother, Hem Keneged Gimel Regalim, correspond to the three Yomim Tovim. The Yitzias Mitzrayim Pesach, in Yitzias Mitzrayim on Pesach, Sha'azah Yisroel b'matzav the Arim, the area. Yidden were then in a situation where we were naked, in the sense that we didn't have any spiritual qualities, any virtue. So the Geula came through a Gilui from above. Pesach was completely from God, because we had nothing. Like we say in the Haggadah. The Eibishter appeared to us himself, and he redeemed us. So then, Nikru b'Shem Biti. So on Pesach, we're called Hashem's daddy's girl. All right, we're the Eibishter's girl, his daughter. The Basu b'Chenas Makabel. The daughter is a Makabel. She's a recipient. She'ein lo mishal atzmai klum. The idea is that she doesn't have anything of her own. She's completely a recipient from her father. V'hu rak Makabel zeh shenoisen lo mamayla. And he's only receiving. It's funny that he turns back to male language. V'hu, meaning because we're talking about Yidden, then that's why he goes back. It's Makabel, everything we give him from above. We're not giving anything. We're just receiving. Then a few months later, 2 months later, when we got to Shavuos, so by Shavuos already, we were already elevated, and we were able to put some input. Then the relationship changes from daughter to sister. Hashem says, you're my sister. Because what the Torah does to us, we become Laman Achai V'Rei. We become Hashem's brothers and Hashem's friends, which means we become equals. Why? Very simple. What is mitzvahs? Mitzvahs are the 248 limbs of the king. So when we do the mitzvahs, our limbs become equal to God's limbs. Hashem does mitzvahs, we do mitzvahs. What's Torah? Torah is God's mind. When we learn Hashem's Torah, we assimilate His mind into our mind, so we're standing face to face. We're not recipients, because even though the Torah mitzvahs we received from Him, but we become like Him. A Yid and the Eibush to become like each other. A Yid becomes a brother to Hashem, or a sister. And that's on Shavuos. We're elevated. So on Pesach, we don't have anything. We're just a recipient of God's kindness. We're a daughter. That's what the Medrash means, daughter. On Shavuos, we're upgraded to be a sister, equal. Ubeklolis in general, Usha Yedei Yisroel, Al Yedei HaTorah Nasim Yisroel Chadem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Through Torah, we become one with the Eibishter. Eki Yedua V'Pirish Mahamaimer, and as we know what Chazal say, Yisroel Eiraiso V'Kutche Berichu Kul Echad. Yidden, the Eibishter, and Torah are one. That means through the Torah, Yisroel and HaKadosh Baruch Hu become one. Gal Yedei She Yisroel Hem Chad Im Eiraisa. Through this, that Yidden are one with the Torah, they become one with the Eibishter. Good. Good. So that is Pesach. We don't do anything. We're receiving. Shavuos, we're equal to God. We're standing on the same level. And guess what happens on Tishrei? In Yom Kippur, we do tshuva, we become God's mother. That means we're giving Him. Now we're equal. We rise above the level called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Val Yedei HaTshuva, through Tshuva. Shalamayla Ma'atayra, Tzadik Tes. Through Tshuva that's higher than Torah, Nikra and B'Shem Imi. We're called, the Eibishter calls us Imi, mother. Shehei Mashpiyim Kiviyachal Ba'akadosh Baruch Hu. That the Yidden are being Mashpiyah Kiviyachal into the Eibishter. Kamashakasov, like it says, Tze'en Reno B'nois Tzion. Go out and see the daughters of Tzion, B'melech Shloimeh. In the King Shloimeh. The King Shloimeh is referring to God. B'nois Tzion is us, the Neshamas. We should go look at the Eibishter. The crown that his mother gave him. Who's his mother? We, Knesset Yisroel, are his mother. B'yom Chasanasa, on the day of his wedding. But that's not Shavuos. The day of his wedding is Yom Kippur, when we got the second Luchos. That's called the day of the wedding. The Isa b'Mishnah, it says in the Mishnah, the Yom Chasanasa, Yom HaKippurim. That the day of the wedding is Yom Kippur. The Al Yedei HaTshuva. Were you with me the whole time? Good. We have another copies there. I predicted there would be 6 people here today. We even did it. Oh, maybe it proved me wrong. We have to make another one. Dal Yedei HaTshuva the Yom HaKippurim. Dal Yedei HaTshuva the Yom HaKippurim. Through the tshuva of Yom Kippur, what happens? The Yom HaKippurim Ushleimus HaTshuva is the ultimate of tshuva. Ma'ateres Knesset Yisroel Atara LaKadosh Baruch. Yidden make a crown to the Eibishter. Page Tzadik Tes. Yidden make a crown to the Eibishter. Our tshuva Yom Kippur makes the Eibishter a crown. Now, whatever happens on Yom Kippur takes place in a very hidden place. Whatever happens on Yom Kippur takes place in a very hidden place. And it reveals itself on Sukkot. Sukkot Be'ikr is not a new Yom Tiv. Sukkot is not a new Yom Tiv. Sukkot is a revelation. Sukkot is a revelation of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So it says in the pasuk, "Bakesa liyom chagenu." Whatever is bakesa, whatever is concealed on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, liyom, where does it become revealed? On Chag, Chagenu, on Sukkot. L'chein ikar inyan de'imi hi b'Sukkos. Sukkot, we are called the Eibishter's mother. Okay, these are the 3 levels. Pesach, we're Bas, we're called the Eibishter's daughter. Shavuos, we're becoming equals, and through tshuva we rise above. Because it says, we learn in Chassidus all the time, that through tshuva, lifnei havaya titaru. First of all, you say, become the Eibishter's mother. What does it mean, the Eibishter's mother? It means the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is called the Spheros. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Spheros. Through tshuva, we rise beyond the Spheros, because in the Spheros there was a pagam through our chas v'shalom misdeeds. In order to fix it, we have to go beyond the Spheros. We have to go to the Orein Seif that's higher than the Spheros. And that comes by revealing the pnimius of our heart. We serve Hashem on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, not from our intellect, not from our emotions, but from our very being itself. We connect at a very essential core level. And therefore that raises us up to be connected to the Orein Seif that's higher than the Spheros. So therefore we're called the mother to the Spheros, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the idea. We become higher than the Eibishter calls us his mother. Fine. But now it's Mavua Badrushim. It's explained in the Maimarim. The Zeh Shagula Sida Tia Ben Nissan. So now so it says in the Maimarim that when we say when the future redemption is also going to be in Nissan, which Nissan is a time of what? When we're receiving from above. That means that the Geula Sida, we're going to be again a daughter. In the up and coming redemption, or in the current redemption. What do we say? It's going to be what? It's also going to be it's going to be from above. We spoke earlier. That's why it's happening in Nissan. That means we're going to be again a daughter. Af shenisan ubchenas biti, Even though Nissan is B'chinas Biti, Lamata Ma'achoyse V'imi, which is lower than Achoysi, lower than my sister, and lower than my mother, who Ki Amayla Da'achoyse V'imi Kshura. But so how can it be? Geula Asid is the highest thing, and suddenly we're going to fall down again. We're going to be again the daughter. The future redemption is the highest. How can it be that in the future redemption we're going to be demoted from mother? We've already reached the level of mother, and suddenly we're going to be demoted and become again the daughter. And the answer is that even though there's a tremendous, so Maimorim in Chassidus it explains that even though there's a tremendous maila, there's a tremendous quality of being sister and mother, but that too has its limitation. What's the limitation? As he says, the Tzemach Tzedek explains that the maila, the quality of sister and mother, is connected to the quality, the existence, and the virtue, let's say, of the person who's doing the avodah. Through you learning Torah, nasa achla Hachodesh Baruch Hu, you become a brother to Hashem. You attach yourself to Hashem. Or the Yisayrim is through you doing tshuva, shehu mashpia keviyachal Hachodesh Baruch Hu. The person becomes a mashpia to the Eibishter. But it's all related to what? To the mitzias of the person. He arrives. The nasa och, the aim. You become a brother and you become a mother. Rak ledargis ha'or shashayach lehishtalshalos. So you're connecting. But which level are you connecting? You're connecting to a level of God that has some kind of a shaychus to the worlds. And therefore, your avoda as a, whatever you are, no matter how refined and great you are, can attach yourself to it. Not only that, you can even transcend it. But it's what? An oyer, a light that has some kind of a shaychus, some kind of a connection to the worlds. Metzias ha'adam, ishtalshlos means the existence of the person. What's the maila of biti? The quality of being a daughter means that you're just a recipient. So it's not emphasizing in any way you completely fade. There's no mitzias over here, and if there's no mitzias, there's nothing to limit it, because when you're just an empty vessel, anything can flow. The quality of being a daughter that has nothing of its own, you're only a recipient, no maila. So then again, as we said earlier, when things are coming from above, what did we say earlier? The sky is not the limit. There is no limit. The quality over here is the inyan of bittul. Bittul means the non-mitzias. The maila over here, the quality over here is that you're not. And we know that bittul allows for a limitless revelation that has no end. And through bittul, you reach into what? Into the essence of the Oirein Soif, which has no shaychus to the worlds at all, which is infinitely transcending creation. And that's the reason why Nissan, we're going to be redeemed. When we are a bas, when the future redemption is going to be a revelation of the essence of the Oirein Soif. Not the lights that have some relationship to the creation, but it's going to be the essence of the infinite, which is somewhere that you, no matter how sophisticated, correct, how beautiful, how refined, how elevated, how hard you work, it can't be connected to anything other than God. And therefore, no matter how developed and how much you've reached, you're infinitely far from that. So the only thing that matters on that level is bittul. Because where there is bittul, then you're leaving room for the Eibishter to do his thing, from whichever level he wants. And if he wants to emanate from his very self, or he wants to descend from his very self, that too can happen. The gilui zeh why they are bittul. This gilui comes through bittul. And that's why taka by Mashiach it says, the quality of Mashiach is bittul. The zeh shebe Mashiach ksiv, and that's why it says by Mashiach, Oni v'roichev ala chamoyer. He's a poor man riding on a donkey. The poor represents what? This bittul. In other words, he's not showing his qualities. It's the bittul that he has. Ani daika dafka ani. Pchenas biti, which is the idea of biti. The idea of being a bas, yes.
But you have beneficial as well, which is not in the pit of like on a cloud and stuff.
Oh, that he's coming on a cloud. But it seems like even if he comes in Manara Shemaya, it's still that pasuk still has to be fulfilled. So there is a yes, what? It doesn't explain the donkey. Explains the ani, the poor man. V'yesh loymar shema hatamim al zeh. Well, obviously, if in 2019 he shows up on a donkey and not in a Porsche or a Ferrari, so that's part of his being an ani. He's a poor man that's coming on a donkey. V'yesh loymar, the fact that he's okay riding on the donkey, right? V'yesh loymar, we can say, what? Oh, that's what he says. The donkey was always the poor man's horse. A rich man rode on a horse. The poor man came with his, with his donkey. V'yesh loymar, we can say shema tamim al zeh. Sha'agiluyim de la'asid lavoi tluyim b'maseinu v'avodiseinu b'zman ha'golas dafke. But now we're getting a little confused. If we're saying that what? The Geula Asida seems to be coming from somewhere so high, so deep, so great, so infinite. We can't touch it. We can't reach it. We can't stimulate it. All we can do is be totally nullified and humble and nothing to it. So why did we say earlier that our avoda, that our tshuva is going to accomplish it? And what did we say earlier? That it's dependent on maseinu v'avodiseinu kol zman meshech hagolos. That the time of that all of our work that we've done. And the emphasis is, that's why the Alter Rebbe added 2 words. It's interesting. Why does he say it's dependent on the avoda during the time of Golus? Why not? It's dependent on the avoda during all the years. From Avram Avinu, or at least from Matan Torah, until all of Torah mitzvahs is a hachana for Mashiach. So why did the Alter Rebbe says, Seinu calls my Meshach HaGolus dafka? Why dafka the Golus? And what's with the time when the Beis HaMikdash was standing? And the answer is exact. What are you saying? The answer is that he's going to explain the difference between the avoda during the time of Galus and the avoda during the time when the Beis HaMikdash was standing. Is when the Beis HaMikdash is standing, there's a lot of us in the avoda, because the Beis HaMikdash helped us be all we can be, help us be really spiritually developed and sensitive and involved, and therefore, when we were doing we were achieving in Yiddishkeit, there was a strong projection of the one that was doing, because it involved our understanding. In Golus, we're so zerschmettert, we're so broken, and we're so crushed, and we're so undeveloped, and we don't have the abilities to, right? And yet, we're at Torah and mitzvahs. So our avodah is an avodah of bittul, not an avodah of self. And that avodah of bittul taka is the avodah that stimulates the giyula. Because dafka bittul can reach the orin soif that is lamayla menshtalshlus completely. Let's read it in the words that he uses. Shematam emalzeh shalagiliyum dulu asad lavei tuluyim b'maseinu v'avadiseinu. Bisman ha'golus dafka, we're beginning sif hey. Dafka in the time of exile, who? Ki inyan ha'bittul hu be'ikr ba'avodah shebisman ha'golus. The inyan of bittul is dafka and the avodah during the time of exile. Kimavua b'makam achar, as explained elsewhere. The ba'avodah shebizman habayis, that in the avodah that when the Beis HaMikdash was standing, mekivan shahaya az asagas elokus. Then there was a time when Yidden had great comprehension in the divine. Uba aloisam leregel, and then that happened all year long. And when they went up 3 times a year at the pilgrimage holidays, and they went up Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, they had not only understanding in the divine, but actually vision. Gamriya Belokus, they were able to see God 3 times a year. You should see. You should be seen and see. When a person appreciates and understands Getlichkeit, and when he can see it, so it makes the person into a very great, elevated human being. And therefore, when he's serving God as a result of that, there is the quality of the human being is being displayed. In the time of Golus befrat, and in Golus itself, The main hachana for Mashiach is the last generations, especially the last generation. And primarily the generation of the last ikvayim of Mashiach. The avodah is in bittul. Why are we doing mitzvahs today? It's not because of us. It's because of the Eibishter. It's because of God. And we don't understand. We don't know. And we're still at it. That's because there's something pushing us beyond us. And we do it. We do it just because. It's not because of that who we are is what's bringing out the mitzvah, causing us to do it. Yeah.
You said like about when the Mikdash was itself, because the whole state of mind
Yeah.
and in the Geulah we're supposed to be in a bittul. We're going to be a bittul. Right?
We're going to be in a bittul, but it's going to come as a result of the bittul in the galot.
But we're going to have it at the Mikdash.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
I guess because of the practice in galus of bittul, that bittul is going to carry over even into the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah. V'yesh loymar, we can say the hakoyach sheyeshna b'doros elu. This is unbelievable. I actually said this 2 years ago in a shir called Daddy's Girl, Parshas Ba'aloischa, because I did a synopsis in that shir of a different mimer, which he speaks about these 3 levels: biti, achoisi, and imi, and he says the same exact word. So when I looked at this today, I said, "Hey, did I teach this mimer?" So then I said, "No, I'm going to check that mimer." I checked and I said, "Hey," Taka says this v'yesh loymar, and there the same Nakuda says in both mimer. And actually over there in the footnotes, he references you to look Barucha in this mimer. V'yesh loymar, we can say the hakoyach sheyesh b'doros elu, the koach that we have in our generation, lamoid b'chol hanisyonos, to withstand all the tests and tribulations. Shaloi hoyu kol kach b'doros hakoidmin. They didn't have such hard tests. The Rebbe is the first individual, I think, who also took another concept in Yiddishkeit and turned it upside down. In the rest of the world, it is accepted that the generations keep on getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And that's also true. The Rebbe also agrees to that. But the Rebbe sees the generation of the Jewish people getting deeper and higher and higher and higher and higher. And that every generation we're so much greater than we were before. Why? Because, he's explaining over here, in the earlier generation they didn't have such tests. They had difficulties in doing mitzvahs. They had oppression. But they didn't have such a world that was so coarse and so dismissive and so the Nisayan Isyonis that are, as he says, Koidel an Nisayan da al yevosh mipnei hamaligim. Don't be afraid of those that will laugh at you. And the coldness, shu Nisayan gadol b'yoyser. It's a very, very big Nisayan. And especially when you think about all the young children today. And I got so much Nisyanis that is so much bigger than ever before, internally. So, but then how is the generation still at it? How is it that we have all these Yidden keeping Torah and mitzvahs? Yeah, okay, people struggle, but they're at it. And the answer is that when a person is Oymed bin Nisayan, and the Rebbe says basically those generations couldn't handle it. We have big Nisyanis because we can handle it. It doesn't make any sense. We're much smaller than them. Yeah, but that's precisely it. In the earlier generations, their Yiddishkeit had a lot to do with them. And since your Yiddishkeit has to do with you, it's coming from you, from your mind, from your understanding, then your koach to overcome obstacles is only commensurate with what? With yourself, with how strong you are. So the Eibishter has to keep the Nisayan to an Nisayan that is challenging to you. But in our generation, our avodah is not coming from us. The koyach what's happening through us is the Eibishter's desire that we should serve him, not us. It's a bittul that we all have. It's the bittul why that we have that's God's power. God is infinite. And since God is infinite, he can take the highest challenge. So even if there is the biggest nisyanis in our generation, we're able to withstand it because our whole approach to avodah is not from us, but from him. It doesn't mean that he's doing it. It's we're doing it. But we're doing it from our etzam neshama that's bottled to the Eibishter, and therefore the engine that's driving us is God, not us. As he says, that the person is intensifying his koiches, his seichel. We don't have any idea of how Yidden in back 1,000 years, they were great philosophers, thinkers, 2,000, they had like great minds. And whenever they had a test, they were using their own mind to like work their way through it. They had strong love and fear, and they used their love of God and fear of God. Who has love and fear today? We go the street, we're just simple people, just add it. Why do we do mitzvahs? Because we cannot not do it. We don't even know why. Why do we show up to shul? What does a bacher today, 18, come to shul? Every day he comes. He has love and fear of God. He has an understanding, an intellectual understanding. He's at it. Why? Because he cannot not. What's that? That's bittul. That's an neshama inyan. The neshama is connected to the Eibishter in this absolute bittul. And if it's an neshama inyan, it's really Eibishter, it's not us. It's that infinite power of a God, that's that stubbornness, that's there, that doesn't let us go. Is a kivan shekachos of b'medida v'agbala. A human's kaiches are limited. Yashnam dvarim she'ein b'yacholtei lizgaber aleim. We have things that we can't overcome if we're working on our own power. Which is in the case in the generation of Ikvas the Mashiach. We're makabel, we're recipients. Our avoid is not coming from our koiches, but rather because of our bittul to the Eibishter. How they move, and it's understood. To the Eibishter, there's no Hagbalah, there's no limitation. And that's why the Rebbe comes up with such a gewaldige Chiddush. The Inyan Zeh HaMaila de B'chinas Bas Shebizman HaGolos. The quality of being a girl, a daughter, in the days of Golos is different than what the Medrash is talking about. Bas, by Mitzrayim we were a Bas, and then we became what? A sister, and then we become a mother. We moved up. The Rebbe says that the Bas of the time of Golus is not the same Bas at the bottom of the rung. It's the Bas that's on top of all of them. The Bas is higher than all three. Why? He says the Mimer said earlier that these three levels, Bas, Choisi, Imi, correspond to the three Yom Tovim. Now the three Yom Tovim were mainly celebrated when the Beis Hamikdash stood. Because what's they're called regalim. What's regalim? Regalim is we use our feet, oila regel, to go to the Beis Hamikdash. So then, in the Beis Hamikdash, Pesach is taka the lowest Yom Tov. And then came Shavuos, which was higher. And then came Sukkot, which is even higher. 3 levels. When you're in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, and you need someone to tow you, you need to get a tow, you're living in the days of the Beis Hamikdash. And you can't drive your car up there alone. You need to call a tow truck to pull you up. That's Nebuch. So Pesach is there's enough there that you can work with. And if you don't have what to work with and you need God to lead you, that's a problem. That's in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. But in the time of Golus, if you're hanging in there, in the time of Golus, then when you have nothing to work with, because of all the concealments and darknesses and darkness, you have nothing to work with. So your only choice is to be a daughter and to let God invest himself in you through your pneumius of your neshama and to keep you. So Adarabah, that's much higher than all the other avodas. Says yes, but we can say, as he says, the Inyan Za'amar Duchenes Bashas Managos Merumes Bezeh is hinted. Shemavu Eba Derushim Huveliel. In other words, this is the Rebbe's Chiddush. The Rebbe says in all the Membarim it doesn't say this. The Rebbe came to be Megala, the Mila of the last generation. Why? Because he's the Nasi of the last generation. So So he has to elevate this last generation and to show that this is higher than all of them. But he still doesn't want to say it on his own. So he says it's merumiz in the Maimarim. What is it merumiz? Shegimel in yanim the biti achoisi v'imi. The three in yanim of biti achoisi v'imi hem keneged gimel regalim. They correspond to the three regalim. Sha'aseder begimel in yanim elu. Shebiti hu lamayla. The order is that biti is lamata below. Machoisi from sister v'imi and mother. Who kemoishem keneged gimel regalim. That's when we connect them to the three regalim zman habayis. Which the idea of three regalim is really zman habayis. It's regalim. Regalim means it's the three going to the Beis Hamikdash. That's regalim. Regalim means we go with our feet to the Beis Hamikdash. Avo b'chenas biti shebizman hagolos, but biti that's in the time of exile. Shu habitul shemetzad etzam haneshama. This is the bitul that comes from the essence of the neshama. In Golus, when everything else, when it's so dark and you have nothing to work with, other than the fact that you are a Jew, and as a Jew, your connection to the Eibishter is something that you're not going to ever bargain with. It's something you're never gonna. This einoi bechlal gimin in yanim elu. It's bechlal not in these three in yanim. V'lamayla mehem. It's a level way surpassing all the other levels. It's where you and the Eibishter are one. That's what it is. And that's why, even if you don't have a head, even if you don't have an emotion, but you're still a Jew, and that's why you show up. That means it's us, but it's totally not us. And the Rebbe is going to apply that's the tshuva that's going to happen in the end of days. The tshuva that the Jewish people are going to do in the end of days is going to be a tshuva that we're doing tshuva. But why are we doing tshuva? Not from us and because of us, because of Elokus, because of the Eibishter. Because the Eibishter promised we're going to do tshuva. And because we're so bottled to him that if he promised we're going to do tshuva, we're going to do tshuva. As we're going to see soon. He says it now over here in Sivov. We can reconcile the two piskei dinim, the two seemingly conflicting halachas regarding the Geula. She'en Yisroel negalim elo b'tshuva. Number one, the Yidden are not redeemed only with tshuva. V'sheh b'Nissan hasidin ligoel, but yet the Geula is going to come in Nissan. Ki zeh she'Yisroel oisen tshuva b'soif gelusan. This that Yidden do tshuva in the end of Golos. She'b'Golos atzmoi ikara helim va'ed. Because here it doesn't make any sense. When are we going to do tshuva? B'soif gelusan. The Rebbe says b'soif gelusa means Golus itself gets darker and darker and darker spiritually. Not physically, it doesn't get darker, because quite on the contrary, we've been lightening up on the persecutions in the last 100 years. But spiritually, it gets darker and darker and darker in the end of Golus. So what are you saying? That dafke in the last moment of Golus, when it's so dark, we're going to do tshuva. That's when we have the most reason not to do tshuva. The main concealments and obscuring of the Golus is at the end. And what kind of tshuva are we going to do? It is sensed within the Jewish people. This that they're doing tshuva. It's not because of the tzior, the form of the mitzios of the person. Ha'oisa tshuva is doing tshuva. It's because the Torah promises that you're not going to do tshuva. B'chenas Nissan. It's bechlal. This is the Rebbe's approach to the whole tshuva. It's the Rebbe's approach to reaching Jews nowadays. It's not through sitting down and proving to them that there is a God and chapayeh do a mitzvah with him. Why is he doing it? Because not mitzad him. He's doing it mitzad the Eibishter. Everything is mitzad the Eibishter. Do with him. It's not a to you. Eventually, of course, he learns. He starts learning Torah and he starts realizing. But the whole process is like this powerful, like something that's beyond. That's like, even though it's not coming through a big miracle that happened, that sometimes it does, but mostly that God revealed Himself to the person that he did tshuva. It's a very vague kind of a energy that's there, that's bringing Yidden back. And the Yid is choosing to do tshuva, but he's choosing it mitzad the Eibishter, not mitzad himself. Or because his etzem is, but what's basically happening is that the essence of the Jews is coming to the surface. As he says, which is the idea of Nissan Bas. It's a very humble tshuva. He doesn't have anything of his own. For whom a kabel mamayla is only receiving from above. And even though you can ask, and even though the tshuva is, no one is forcing him, it's the person's own choice that he's doing tshuva. He brings from Ha'ara 52, Re'ef Sefer HaMamarim Tafshin Hey, Amid 49, the Zesha HaTshuva Tiyel Malmayda Lamata L'das Rabbi Yeshua, that even according to Rabbi Yeshua, that says that tshuva is, that we don't have to do tshuva, which means that, and if there is tshuva, it's a complete, Ein Zeh B'Serusa D'Le'ela B'Lvad, doesn't mean it's going to be a Serusa D'Le'ela, Kiyem Sheyis Oideru Me'atzmam Lasas Tshuva. Yidden are going to have an Yisoidus from within themselves. The Yisoidus from above is going to put something out in the air that's going to cause Yidden to suddenly awaken to do tshuva. And it's their choice. Because they're awakening to do the tshuva. They're making the choice to do the tshuva. But there's still, there is some kind of a shayfa shel Mashiach, if you can say, that's silently blowing and only sensed. All it's doing is it's making the person aware of something bothering them, so to speak. Something, that's causing that search and that's causing that desire to do tshuva. When you're dealing in America, think about it, which is such a deep materialistic culture, and to have so many Jews who turned their lives around and came to Yiddishkeit, don't make any sense. And so this is exactly how to define it. It's totally the Eibishter, but it's totally us at the same time, because it's our etzem. B'kol, as he says, v'koloshen Rambam, shesoif Yisroel lasas tshuva. The Rebbe is learning the Rambam every word. The Rambam doesn't say. The Rambam says the end Yidden are going to do tshuva. The Rambam doesn't even bring what it says. The Eibishter is going to put upon them a melech like Haman and make them do tshuva, like it says in there. The Rambam doesn't say that. Soif Yisroel lasas tshuva. The Torah promised. Asiya v'avoida de Yisroel. It's an asiya and the udeloikis oidedus tshuva habaya de kruzim shalamayla. It's not the oidedus of tshuva that's coming through an announcement from above. It says, "Oi, I forgot. I put two waters in the freezer." Es wird keine ganzen verfreuden. I was tending. I realized that everybody must be so thirsty. This is terrible. I'm sitting here with a big bucket, bigger than every week. Okay. The Makom Asiyas Atshuva de Yisroel Shebesoif Agalos. It's not because of their sophisticated, it's not from their knowledge or so on and so forth. The promise of the Torah affects them to do tshuva, not because of their own mitzias. So what's the beer? No, Yetzias Mitzrayim was not Mitzad Atzma. Yetzias Mitzrayim was a pure gift. That's bas, and that's where here it's because it's Vertnes Gala who the Jew really is, and that's the Eibishter. Who are you really? You're really the Eibishter. A Jew is one with God. And that's why, Bechlal the Rebbe says two things. So there's two inyanim. What do we have in our generation? You know what the Rebbe just did? He covered both. We have two groups. We have the Bali Tshuva. People that came totally from the outside. That's this group he's talking about. They're doing Tshuva. And then you have those that are holding on and have no clue why they're doing it. They're sticking to it. They're still at it. Okay, some of them are learning Hasidus, and those that don't. I'm so blown away how people are Jewish today without Hasidus. I don't get it. I'm so in awe of all the people that daven in the other shuls in this community that don't learn Hasidus and this. I have no idea. I can hardly be Jewish with all the Hasidus that I learn. Without Hasidus, what's causing them to show up? I have no idea. It's maybe because we learn Hasidus here. That's why it's. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's because there's something there that just a yid is a yid. Finished. That's what he said earlier. That you're able to withstand every nisayon and still stay to it is because the koyach is not you. The koyach is the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is beli gvul. Hashem is infinite. So, v'yashloima, we can say. The Zeo, that's also the Lashon of the Rambam. Masha Yisroel, oisim tshuva, umiyad hen negolim. What's the Rambam's emphasis? Miyad, instantly. The Rebbe says like this. If the doing of tshuva comes from the human beings, it's really coming from you. Everything humans do is what? Is a progress. It's a step-by-step thing. It's a human doing it. You do it. It's a seder. It's mesudar. So therefore, its effects from above are also seder mesudar. The Rambam says, Yidden do tshuva, miyad henigola. What's the miyad? Because if your tshuva is not coming from you, your tshuva is coming from the Eibishter. So miyad, that's why you actually see that in tshuva of Yidden, that they're like so quick. Something that should take so much longer. They turn their lives around in a very short time. It's miyad. The kasher asiyas tshuva mitzad the adam atzmai. When a person does tshuva on his own, shuhu b'matzav etzir kazeh sheshayach l'tshuva, that he is in this situation, that he's shayach to tshuva. Hagam shetshuva bechlal u'ba'oifen the dilog. Now, even though tshuva in general means that the person is taking a leap, tshuva is different than Torah and mitzvahs, which is very step by step. Tshuva is like a desire to get out of where you are and to get somewhere else. So it's more like a leap. It's a bursting energy. It has some kind of an order. The kivan sha'adamu mugbal, since a person is limited. Gam b'hadiluk shaloi, even when he's leaping, yesh seder. There's an order in the leap. Shebetchila bal l'tshuva tata. First he comes to the lower tshuva. V'achkach l'tshuva yala, and then he rises up to a higher level of tshuva. V'achu niga legamre mamatzav the golus, until he can finally yank himself completely out of the whole idea of golus. Shahaya lifnei tshuva, which he was before he, from the matziv shahaya lifnei tshuva. He's completely beyond the state where he was before he did tshuva. But this that it says in Rambam, that Yidden will do tshuva in the end of their galus, and instantly they're redeemed. Who? Because this kind of tshuva is in the level of bas. Mitzad haftachas haTorah. It's because of the haftacha of the Torah. Shahabitl de bas magia ba'atzmas oirein soif. Which this bitl touches and reaches the essence, as we spoke earlier, of the oirein soif. Shalamayla mehishtal shalos. That's beyond. In that sense, it's similar to Mitzrayim. That it's coming from a place, it's touching on when it's coming from the Eibishter, it's coming. And there too, what does it say? The whole idea of Pesach is that lohispik. It happens so quick, instantly. So here too, it's an inyan that's because it's coming mitzad the Eibishter. Therefore, it doesn't have the time constrictions. The tshuva of bas is one leap. It's beyond even the order of leaping, and therefore the corresponding effect or the impact that it has in terms of the Eibishter's response is also miyad. They're instantly redeemed. Yeah. Because Mitzrayim the Gabas was a didn't have 2000. It didn't have Maseinu Vavadesenu calls Mameshach Hagolos. We had Mitzrayim, but we didn't have Maseinu Vavadesenu of Torah Mitzvahs calls Mameshach Hagolos. That was a certain zichuch that we needed to have before we started our avodah of Torah Mitzvahs. But now we have an avodah of Torah Mitzvahs for thousands of years. But what we're saying is that the avodah of our Torah Mitzvahs is mitzad, is a bittul diga avodah. So it has the mile of both. It has the mile of avodah. Yeah. It has the quality of avodah, that's why we're kalim for it. But it doesn't have the limitations of our avodah. The mile of avodah is that it's your work. But the limitations of it, it's only you. When it's your work, but the work that you're doing is not mitzad you, it's mitzad him. So you have both the mile that it's yours, but it's also him. Because you're not doing it mitzad you, you're doing it mitzad his power. This is the chiddush. So tshuva is that way. So what are you looking for? You're looking for the leap in the Seder Inyanim, right?
Yeah, because we reversed the whole point. We started out saying it's one there, and now we flipped it. It could be around. It's really not. It's the other way around. What we thought was the lowest notch of the highest, but
Yes. Now, so here we have a problem. This that the Torah promises, but it's not that the Torah is forcing you to do tshuva, because if the Torah is doing it, then it's not Yisroel Oisem tshuva. Yisroel Oisem tshuva means you're doing tshuva because you're doing tshuva. It's your Indian. But it's still coming not because of you, it's coming because the Torah promised you will do tshuva. This that the promise of the Torah affects a person, that he should do tshuva on his own. Who chibur de Nissan v'Tishrei. It's neither Nissan, because if it would be Nissan, then it wouldn't be tshuva me'atzma, it wouldn't be your tshuva, it would just be completely from above. If it would be Tishrei on its own, then it would just be our avodah. That's what Tishrei is. Tishrei is our avodah. This that the Eibishter's promise, the promise of Torah, which is from above, is causing that we should do tshuva on our own. So when we're doing tshuva, it's really from his power, but it's really we're doing tshuva. Is the connection of Tishrei and Nissan together. It's the convergence of both of them. This that the tshuva in the end of Golus is that Yidden do tshuva b'koyach atzman, with their own koyach, from the bottom up. The loiki Yetzias Mitzrayim. Okay, he's touching on that. Not like Yetzias Mitzrayim. Shechavtzam shel Yisroel lotis betumas Mitzrayim. There too, when the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim, their desire to go out, l'dafka bo yizbarach. There too, they had a desire. Hoysem etzad agiluim al ma'ila. There, Pasha, the Eibishter blasted their neshama with light. That's what he did. He blasted their neshama with light, and he pulled them. So Yidden suddenly felt a spiritual pull that was totally not theirs. They had to escape, because their desire to leave was not theirs, and if Hashem wouldn't cause them to escape, and he would have them go there slowly, since they on their own still had an appetite for everything that Mitzrayim had to offer, everything that Egypt had to offer, they would never gotten out of Mitzrayim. Because even though God is pulling, but they still had their own pulls. Understand? Because this that they're yearning for godliness is like some kind of external thing that pulled them. It wasn't them. By our geula, it's our choice that Yidden are making. It's our tshuva. A Yid is choosing to serve the Eibishter. But still, it's because the Torah promised he will do it, not because of himself. So, so that is who inyan v'amayla de Tishrei. That's the quality of Tishrei. You're doing tshuva not like a Mitzrayim when you're being picked up. You're doing it. But this that you're doing it is not because of your own intellect and emotion, but it's because the promise of the Torah. Shalachenu ba'oifen de miyad henigol, and that's why it's in a level of instant. Lamayla masei davadrog, it's beyond all levels. Huamayla de Nissan, that's the quality of Nissan. Ukamoshin is bar le'el. Shahamayla de Nissan legabe Tishrei. We said earlier, the quality of Nissan to Tishrei, sheben Nissan u amshachas oyer habli gvul. And Nissan is when things happen snappy. When things are, it's infinite. V'yashloima, we can say, the zeh sheben Nissan dafka asidin ligoil. If it's a chibur of Tishrei and Nissan, so why is the Geula going to happen dafka in Nissan? Why not in Tishrei? It's both. Af shahat tshuva shebesoifa golos. Even though the Shabbat Tshuva shall yadei tava ya geula, which through the tshuva this will bring the geula. Yeshnam shnei hanyanim v'hamailas has both in yanim, and it has both qualities. The Nissan u'de Tishrei, from Nissan and from Tishrei. Who? Ki ha-koyach lahachibur de Tishrei v'Nissan. What's the koyach of being mechaber two opposites, Tishrei and Nissan? Ba'avoida sa'adam, in the avoid of a person. Who? And that is going back to what we discussed at the beginning of the Maayon. Tachlis hakavana b'habriya de Tishrei, the ultimate kavana and intention of the creation of Tishrei, Bereishis bara, when the Eibishter created. Sha'az nivra oilam b'medida v'hagbala. That's when God created the world in a very limited way. Remember we spoke that Tishrei is when Hashem set creation and the system into motion. Hu b'chdei sha'al yedei avoida de Torah mitzvahs. The initial intention was that through our avoid of Torah mitzvahs, there should be in Tishrei, which is the avoid, which is the world, the gilui of Hachodesh Nissan, Hachodesh Lachem, this the gilui of this Hachodesh. The zausha machshava livre sa'olam ha'isa b'Nissan. That's why the machshava is always the pnimius. Machshava is always the content. Even though b'payal mamish, in the literal sense, when did God create? In Tishrei. But when did he think of creating? In which mood was God, so to speak? In Nissan mood. In Nissan mode. He thought about creating the world. What does that mean? That even though he's creating a world of limitation and boundaries, its true pnimius is what? Is Nissan. It's the kavana, it's the intention of the asiyah, of the action, which comes after the thought. The kavana and the tachlis of Tishrei, which is measured and limited, who sheyiyah by hagiloi the Nissan, is that what the Rebbe is really saying is like this. It's not like the Eibishter first created a world, a fixed world, and then later decided that it would be nice, he has no choice, but he must reveal himself in this world. And it wasn't a later decision. He initially created the world in Tishrei so that he can introduce Nissan later. So why didn't he just make Nissan l'chatchila? Why did he make Tishrei world? Because if he made just Nissan, then the worlds would be infinite. It would be Gili Ein Sof. The worlds wouldn't be a world. So therefore he has to create the world in Tishrei, which the content of Tishrei is concealment, restriction, definition, limitation, and boundaries, and systems, and so on and so forth. And within that system, he wants there should be a Giloi of his infinite power. Ella. In order that the kavana, the intention, should be fulfilled, that even in gvul, that even the finite should facilitate the infinite. The creation was in a manner that the world that was created didn't sense the intention. The worlds are not aware of that underlying deeper intention in them. So it's not sensed. And what you see and what you feel is a Tishrei world. In other words, what you feel and what you see is nature, not miracles. What you see and what you sense. In other words, God is not allowing his deeper secret to be sensed in the creation. Because if he would allow the deeper secret to be sensed, then the worlds would never really be finite, because they would know their whole purposes for the infinite. So he has to hide that intention from the creation. What?
That's what existence was before creating the world. It was the shamas and the lachim, whatever.
No, they're also gvul.
But less gvul than we have this.
Yeah, that's true.
So, to make the ultimate gvul, you have to create this world.
Dafka, this world is the Magbala, yeah, that's right.
This is by one light or like by two? Because one light is a chayim, right? Like the
compress.
Yeah, compress it. So it's by two or by one, this Tishrei.
The inyan of Tishrei is creating heaven and earth, creating two, creating boundaries. Yeah. Sheishes Yamim, you start right away with 6 days creating. You're starting with his chalkos. You're starting with division. You're starting. And what's the first letter of the Torah of creation? Beis. This creates a finite world. And then comes our work. And particularly in the time of exile, Mizgale, not only does that bring the infinite, but it actually does something else. Mizgale, it reveals that the original kavana, the original intention, and the purpose of the gvul, shanivra b'tishrei, which was created in Tishrei, hu sheyeh boy gilo yabli gvul, is that in it should be the revelation of the infinite. V'zehu shasiyas hatshuva shebesoif hagalos, and that reflects in our avodah as well. What's our avodah? Tshuva. What's that? That's Tishrei. That's our avodah. But yet, what's the pnimius of that? In the tshuva that's coming, why are we doing tshuva? Not because of the gvul. We're doing tshuva because of the bli gvul, because of the Eibishter, because we're one with him and he's making us do tshuva, even though it's us doing tshuva. Because when Mashiach comes, the worlds are not going to stop being finite. There are finite worlds, and within that finite world is the revelation of the infinite. V'zehu shasiyas hatshuva shebesoif hagalos. Asiyas u'pe'ulas ha'adam shenivra b'tishrei. The effect and the actions of the person that was creating Tishrei Gvul, who ba'oifen the bli gvul, Nissan, is in a manner of bli gvul. We're doing tshuva, but we're doing an infinite tshuva. We're doing a tshuva that's not stage by stage. It's like one boom. Because through our work, Mizgala, it reveals. The deepest truth about the limitations that were created in Tishrei, who are bli gvul the Nissan, is the bli gvul of Nissan. That means that Tishrei, the real teichen pnimi of Tishrei, the real inner content of Tishrei, is also Nissan. So therefore, when we do tshuva that way, even we can't say it has both. It has Tishrei and it has Nissan. So the Geula can come either in Tishrei or in Nissan. No, because the fact that we're doing tshuva is the gilui of the Bepnimius. It's really the gilui of Nissan. V'zeu ben Nissan asidin ligoel. That's why in Nissan we're going to be redeemed. Ki az yizgale shegama gvul de Tishrei. It's going to reveal that even the limitations of Tishrei, pnimiusai who are bli gvul de Nissan. Its pnimius is the bli gvul of Nissan. Is the infinite of Nissan. And this is the reason why Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, the Torah should have started from Hachodesh Lachem. The Inyan Zehu Gama Liba de Emes, as we said in the beginning of the Maimer. Even according to the truth, Kanal B'tchilas HaMaimer, what did we say? That the Torah really begins in Hachodesh Lachem. The Torah really begins with the pasuk Hachodesh Lachem, which is Parshas Bo, which is the first mitzvah, which is about Chodesh Nissan. Ki zeh she'ha-Torah meschela b'Bereishis bara. Even though b'Poel Mamish, if you open the Torah begins with Bereishis. Af she'inyan ha-Torah hu hamshachas v'gilui orein sof ha-bli gvul. Like what's Torah? Torah is all a channel to bring the orein sof ha-bli gvul into the world. That's what a Sefer Torah is. It's the channeling of the infinite light of God into the world. That's what the Torah is. If that's the case, why do you have a story of creation there? The story of creation is total opposite. Gvul, tzimtzumim. The answer is the real definition of the tzimtzumim is not about the tzimtzumim. The Eibishter created a tachton so that in that tachton he can reveal himself and live in that tachton. The bli gvul. So that's reflected in the Torah as well. You have a Torah that starts that in actuality it starts in Bereishis, but its real pnimius is Hachodesh Lachem, because that's when from Hachodesh Lachem is where the beginning of this flow of infinite light comes into the world. And that redefines Bereishis bara and makes Bereishis also be part of the Torah, part of the infinite. Parshas Boy, yeah. That's what the Torah is. The Torah, the whole kavanah of Torah is it's like, here the Rebbe doesn't say it, but in another mimer. What's the answer? Why did the Eibush Taka start the Torah with Bereshis? Why did the Eibush Taka start the Torah with Bereshis? Why did God really start? Because if the nations are going to say to the Jewish people that you're thieves, you took our land, God is going to say to them, I created the world. I gave it to you, and with my will, I took it away from you. I take it away from you, and I give it to the Jewish people. So why did the Eibush L'chatchila give it to the nations? Why did God L'chatchila in the beginning give Eretz Yisrael to the nations? If He wants it for the Jewish people, let Him reserve it to the Jewish people. The answer is the Eibishter wants the Jewish people to make a Jewish land out of a non-Jewish land. That's the whole point. To take a klipa and to transform it, to take darkness and to make it into light. How is the Eibishter to make the world dark? He gives it to the nations first. And what do the nations do to the land? The same things the Palestinians do to Gaza. They took the place and wreck it and make it who knows what. Meshiva Amim, and they were the most corrupt from everybody. They wrecked that place. And the Jews had to come into a place where the Torah keeps on warning them. You're going into a place where you're going to have all these pitfalls. You have Avodah Zarah, you have this, you have that, you have like non-stop. Be careful, you're going amongst them. It's tough. Because the Eibishter wants Yidden. So therefore, did He really give it to them? The toichen of giving it to them, milachatchila, that Hashem gave it to them, is so that we can make an Eretz Yisrael out of it. It's the same idea. Why did the Eibishter create a world? So we can make a Torah out of a world. Why does the Eibishter create the finite? So we should be able to bring the infinite into the finite. And that's the real definition of that initial finite. And that's the real definition of all darkness. So the real darkness in the world is not darkness. Its real pneumius is really light, not darkness. It comes first, yeah. Ki akavana the Torah lahamshach gili ernesef abli gvul bahagvul the olam is dafke in the gvul of the world. Lechen yesh b'Torah. That's why the Torah also has gama haggadah the Ma'aseh Bereshis. Also the story of Ma'aseh Bereshis. Bechdei lahamshach abli gvul the Torah, so that we should bring the bli gvul in Torah gam ba'olam. If the Torah would start just with Pashas Boy, then the Torah would not be affecting the world. The Torah would be an infinite light above the world. That's why the Torah has to have a whole section talking about the world, so that the Torah can bring its light into the world. That's the idea. Laham shechabli gvul the Torah gam ba'olam, also into the world. V'lasis memenu dira lo yizbarach, to make the world a dira. Elo shebechdei shegilu yabli gvul the Torah ye gam ba'olam k'moy shehu b'metzias. Here's a gewalt. In order that the bli gvul of Torah should be in what kind of a world? Why couldn't God, let me go back to the nations. Why couldn't God go to the nations and tell the nations, I'm giving you this land so that I can later take it from you and give it to the Jewish people? Because I want them to have a non-Jewish land that they make Jewish. Why do he have to, he doesn't tell them that. Why couldn't he tell them that? At least they wouldn't be so upset. The answer is if they would know lichatchila, that they have their land just for the sake of the Jewish people to make it into this, then they would never corrupt it enough. In other words, and therefore we would never be able to make such a dark world into a bright world. So therefore, the same is with the Torah. If the Eibishter would lichatchila when he made Bereshis, would already give us at the same time Hachodesh as Lachem, then the Bereshis world that it's creating is already a world that is already so Torah-ing. I'll tell you an example, just that mamash fits to this idea. In the Zohar, there is a mashal for the Yetzer Hara. There's a mashal to the Yetzer Hara. What's the mashal for the Yetzer Hara? The mashal is like this: the king had a son, and the son, but he wanted to make the son be like a really strong. He wanted him to be worthy to be a king. A king is going to have to have self-control. The king doesn't have self-control. He can't rule the way he should. So how does he want to build self-control? So he wants to test the morals of the child. So he goes and he hires a prostitute. And that prostitute is going to try to seduce the boy. Okay? So that the Zohar says that's the idea of the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is a prostitute that's here to try to seduce the prince. But really the intention of the prostitute is, what is the prostitute? The Zohar is saying, what does the prostitute want? The prostitute doesn't really want the son to sin. Because if the son sins, then she's frustrating the king. She also wants the king, she wants the son to resist her so that the king will be happy with her. But problem is, the prostitute, but then it's not a real test because she's not really doing her work. Why she's not doing her work? Because she knows that the intention is that he shouldn't, so it's not a real. So therefore, the way it works is that this prostitute hires another prostitute, and by the time you get to the end of the chain, the last one has no idea that this is about a king and about a thing. So she could go ahead and do her work like she would do it, whatever. And then it's a true test. And then it says, so the Eibishter too has to create this prostitute, or the Eibishter has to, we call the world a prostitute, to create a world that's a real world. And in that low world, the Eibishter wants the Torah. So that's why the Eibishter makes a world, when he's creating Bereshis Bara Lachem, when he's creating the Tishrei world, you don't know that Tishrei is all about Nissan. And you don't know that Bereshis is all about Hachodesh Lachem. Until Rabbi Yitzchak comes many years later and he says, hey, the Hachodesh Lachem, Rabbi Yitzchak is the one who puts the pieces together. Rashi's father, Rabbi Yitzchak, who goes and he puts the pieces together here and there. But until that you don't see it. Because in order for the ultimate purpose to be revealed, it has to be a world that's what he's adding over here. Should be in such a world, a world as it is a metzius, not the world of Bereshis Bara Lachem, but a mamash world. Lachem pasach bebereshis. That's why the Eibishter Taka started with Bereshis. Shahagada the Maisa Bereshis. The story of Maisa Bereshis, Valderech Zeh Parshia Shala Achrei Zeh. The Parshias that are afterwards, who lifnei Parshas Hachodesh. You don't even have Parshas Hachodesh here. Mitzvah Rishoyna Shenitztava B'nei Yisroel. B'chdei. Sha'al Yedei Limud HaTorah V'kiyam HaMitzvahs. So that later, when Yidden learn Torah and do mitzvahs, Yegilu Yabli Gvul, the Gilu Yabli Gvul should be the Torah Gam B'chelik Da Ha'olam, even in the portion of the world, Kefi K'moy Shahayu Lifnei Kiyam HaTorah Mitzvahs. In a world that's pre-Torah mitzvahs, in that world, we should impact. The kivan dezeh shepasach bebereshis hu b'chdei shegilu yabli gvul the Torah mitzvahs. The reason why he started with bereshis is so that the gilui of Torah mitzvahs, the revelation of Torah mitzvahs, which is Hachodesh Lachem, yeh gam b'ha'inyan de bereshis k'moy shehu lifnei parshas Hachodesh, is in order that it should impact the bereshis as it is before parshas Hachodesh. Nimtza comes out shebepnimius inyanim. In the Pnimius in the Inyanim, ha'aschalahu ba'achodesh Lachem. In other words, it's really starting with Hachodesh. Because the only reason you started with Bereshis is so that Hachodesh should be able to impact even Bereshis. So when you're making Bereshis, you're not thinking about Bereshis, you're really thinking about Hachodesh. You're just not revealing it in the Bereshis. But it's really B'Pnimius, that's what it's all about. Ki ha'Pnimius, the Bereshis, the inner intention of the Bereshis, shalifnei parshas Hachodesh, hu Hachodesh Lachem, is the Hachodesh Lachem, is the great, is the mitzvahs. The hine yeduah is known. The priyas ha'olam b'chafei be'elul hoisa b'bchenas koy. Now, in creation itself, the Rebbe is going to say over here, Gavaldige Chiddush. In creation itself, let's go up to Bereshis. In creation itself, in Bereshis, there's two levels in creation. There's the creation that happened on Chafei Elul, and then there's Rosh Hashanah, there's Tishrei. And what's the difference between them? The creation of Chafei Elul is much lower than Tishrei. Because on Chafei Elul, there's no human yet. So you don't have anybody that can recognize God. And on Tishrei, you have already the human being. That's why it says that Chafei Elul begins with, it's called Chafei. Chafei is Koi. And Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah is called Zeh HaYom. The difference between Koi and Zeh is Koi means, the Gemara says that all the Nevi'im, when they said prophecy, they said with Ko Amar Hashem. But Moshe Rabbeinu was much higher that he said Zeh. Koi means blurry. Ko, something like this. Zeh means That's the Chiddush, that a human being through his avoda reveals the Zeh. Well, the Rebbe is going to say like this. If the human being already enters the world and he's already in the zone of Zeh, is a sign that in creation itself there's two levels of creation. We're talking about, we want to impact the world. What kind of world do we want to impact? We want to impact the lowest possible world. So therefore, in creation itself, there is creation. The fact that creation is created before Hachodesh Lachem, the fact, okay, you can ask a question, why did God allow the world to be 2,500 years without Torah mitzvahs? If his intention is B'shul HaTorah, B'shul HaMitzvahs, and the answer is because Hashem wanted to have a low world, and in that, a world that will first run without Torah mitzvahs. And the world runs without Torah mitzvahs. What happens to the world? It runs itself amok. And once it reaches the epitome of amokness, that's when Torah mitzvahs came into the world to fix it. Right? That's what we learned. Okay, there was also a zichuch of Avram and so on and so forth. But so in creation itself, as we're saying, there's two madregas. There is revealing Hachodesh Lachem in the human world, in the Zeh, in the creation of Zeh, but then there's even a deeper revelation that Torah mitzvahs is going to elevate even a world of Chafei Elul, not only a world of Zeh, which is a lower dimension. Let's read inside. V'hina yedu it is known the B'riyas Ha'olam b'Chafei be'Elul lois b'Bchinas Koi. U'b'yayim b'roi Adam Arishon, when Hashem created Adam Arishon echad b'Tishrei na'aseh gilui elokus ba'olam. The very fact that a human soul, Adam Arishon, was in the world, that was already godly revelation. It already picked up the world tremendously. B'Chinas Elul. Shahagilui shahoya yedei Adam Arishon hu be'ein aroich la'agilui damatan Torah. As great as the Gilui of Adam Arishon was, the fact that Adam is in the world was a great revelation, a great enhancement to the world, but it pales in comparison to the revelation that happened by Matan Torah. We can say, this that Hachodesh Lachem is the Pnimius of Bereshis Bara, who naile yoiser mezeh, we're saying over here that there are two inyanim here. We said that when the human being does tshuva, but he does tshuva, what kind of tshuva does he do? He's doing tshuva, but he's doing tshuva because of the Eibishter, not because of him, because of God. And that's the chibur. What's the chibur? That's showing that the pnimius of Tishrei is really Nissan. Remember? He proved that the pnimius of Tishrei is really Nissan. How do you prove the pnimius? That the person's tshuva is really the Eibishter's, is really God. That's what he said. That's one inyan. The other inyan is that that the pnimius of Bereshis, we're proving two inyanim, two pnimius. Pnimius and chitzonius. Pnimius of Tishrei is really Nissan. And that's reflected in what? In the chibur of the unique tshuva that brings the Geula. That reveals that. But then there's another inyan. Outside of the human experience. How about the world itself? Well, we have that. We have Bereshis bara Lachem and we have Hachodesh Lachem. And from this, that we're saying that the pnimius of Bereshis bara Lachem is Hachodesh Lachem. The pnimius, the inner element of Bereshis bara Elokim, of creation, is really the mitzvahs, is really Hachodesh Lachem. Is really Hachodesh Lachem. Right? Is really Hachodesh Lachem. He's saying this inyan is deeper than the tshuva of Yidden being. Why? Because the fact that a human being, what's the tshuva of a human? The tshuva of a human is a human be'etzem is already high because he's a human and he has a chelik l'keim amal. So to show how the human is, the pnimius of the Adam is really elokus, is really Nissan, is really elokus, and that's reflected in our tshuva, which Nissan is oyer habligvol. Both of them are showing, both of them are indicating one inyan, that the real intention is the bligvol, is the infinite, but the infinite wants to reveal itself in the finite. And how does that revealed? In two things. one thing it reveals is that when we're doing tshuva, which is finite, we're doing tshuva because God, because of the Eibishter, that's the infinite. So we can do a super tshuva. The fact that we can do a super tshuva, an infinite tshuva, it's because the pnimius of the Adam is really Elokus, is really the Ein Sof, is really Nissan. That's one illustration. The other illustration is that the pnimius of Bereshis Bar Elokim is really Hachodesh as Lachem. And why did the Eibishter allow Bereshis to go first? It's because he wants there should be a Gilui of Bligvul of Hachodesh as Lachem in the Bereshis Bar Elokim world. These are the two inyanim that are the same in Inyan. But the Rebbe says the second one is higher than the first one. Why? Because since the human being is be'etzem a higher level than Bereshis Bara, than creation, because the human being is Zeh and creation is Kai, so to reveal in the human how he's one with the Eibishter is not as great as to reveal it in creation itself. That's a much deeper level. In other words, why is it greater? Because it's coming lower. It's coming down even in a Kai world, even in a world that doesn't even have human. And even over there, we're showing that the pnimius of its limitation and darkness is really the Giloi Abli Gvul of Nissan. So that's even a bigger chiddush. That's what he's saying here. Who apnimius the Bereshis Bara. This that Hachodesh Lachem is the pnimius of Bereshis Bara. Who Naila Yoser is greater. Mezesha HaTshuva da Adam hu ba'oifen the Beli Gvul. Is the tshuva of the human is Beli Gvul. Why? Ki achibur the Beli, and because both of them are expressing what? The connection of Beli Gvul and Gvul. Ki achibur the Beli Gvul and Gvul al yedei sha'tshuva da Adam hu lamayla ma'hagbala. This connection of Beli Gvul and Gvul, the limitlessness and the limitation, as expressed in a person doing an infinite tshuva, who gilui abli gvul the Torah mitzvahs beha'olam k'moishehu b'darga zeh, is the gilui of the beli gvul. It's revealing the beli gvul in a world that's already on a higher level of zeh. Zeh sha'achodesh as Lachem hu apnimi is the Bereshis Bara. This that Hachodesh Lachem is the pnimius of Bereshis Bara. Who gilui abli gvul the Torah mitzvahs is the revelation of the limitlessness of Torah mitzvahs. Baha'olam shenivra b'chafei be'el. That's already attacking a world, not attacking, or elevating a world that's created in chafei and el, kamoishu b'darga koi, as it is in a much lower level, on a level of koi. V'yesh loima, we can say, the gilui zeh yeh be'ikr b'hageula shel achrei hatshuva. And the Rebbe says that's the two stages. When do we do this phenomenal revelation? The Rebbe is saying that the ultimate revelation is being realized by Jews doing tshuva in the end of days. But the Rebbe says that's pre-Mashiach. And then once Mashiach comes, we have even a higher revelation. What's added more in this connection of infinite and finite after Mashiach comes than the tshuva that's before? Because the tshuva that's before is revealing how gevul and bli gevul are really unified. But what kind of gevul? A zeh gevul, not a ko gevul. A higher gevul, a higher limitation. But the post-Mashiach reality, which is going to take the entire finite world itself and reveal in it its infinite potential, that's even deeper than this tshuva. That's what he's saying. He says, Yeshloima, the Gilui zeh yeh be'ikr ba'geula shel achrei hatshuva d'soif zman hagolos. After the tshuva. Da'yedei Gilui abli gvul ba'olam k'moi shehu b'darga zeh ha'adam al yedei hatshuva shebesoif zman hagolos. Through the first stage of unification of gvul and bli gvul, in the tshuva of our generation. That's the Gilui of, we're doing tshuva, but we're doing tshuva because God promised we're going to do tshuva. It's that fusion. That's going to lead miyad hagilui de bli gvul gamba olam, the revelation of bli gvul even in the world itself, kamoishahu bedargas koi, like it is in the level of koi. The whole revelation of the internet, the whole revelation of the way we communicate today, and this is all bli gvul in gvul. There's no limits. And in the tiniest things, and everything is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and more sophisticated and more. It's like crazy. Where did all this happen? When Yidden did tshuva, and then in the 60s and in the 70s, that brought about. Yeah, this is all. It's revealing it in the world as well. Science is also discovering it, because it's. And this will fulfill the kavana of dira in this world. The coarsest world, material, physical, chunky matter, and in that is Ein Sof. And this too is included in Nissan Asidan Ligoil. The Asidan Ligoil called ala geula shala achrei tshuva. On the geula that comes after. Shegam agilui ba'olam sheyeh ba'geula yeh b'pchenas Nissan. That not only the tshuva is in Nissan. Before we said the reason why it all happens in Nissan is because that's when we do tshuva. We're doing a Nissan digit tshuva. We're not doing a Tishrei tshuva. We're doing a Nissan tshuva. A Tishrei tshuva would mean it would be reflecting us. A Nissan tshuva, it's reflecting the Eibishter. But that's stage number one, that's the tshuva. The next thing is the revelations in the world that happen after Mashiach comes. That too is shayach to Nissan. Al yedei asiyas hatshuva de Yisroel lifnei zeh. Through the doing of tshuva by the Yidden before that. So that too, yeh b'pchenas Nissan. An infinite light that's beyond the worlds. When we're discovering now the infinite, it doesn't feel like there's some extraordinary outside infinite power. We're looking at matter today, and we're seeing, especially with quantum physics, we're seeing Ein Sof. In what? And that's the nature of everything. See what the Rebbe is doing over here? It's the Eibishter wants it to be so much ours that it's ours. It's not even an outside thing, because it becomes absorbed the pneumius of the world. So as I mentioned, this redefines. The Rebbe redefines the entire Seder Ishtalshalos and the entire Olam from its very flip. As he said, he flips the whole thing upside down. And through this, the Rebbe enables these Giluyim to happen. That's what in the Mimer we have already the whole. See, people don't realize. In the Mimer, we have the whole Mashiach structure. It's there already. It's just we have to learn the Mimer and spread the Mimer so it becomes real in the world as well. But the Mimer already has everything. Bias Mashiach, the Geula, everything that it's afterwards, it's all there in the discourse. The discourse, the Mimer has already everything. And the Mimer you can learn another 15 times, and then hopefully we start to understand it. And I'm sure if you learn the Mimer from Lamed Vav, it'd also be pretty exciting. This is the Mimer from Lamed Hey. This was right at the center of that whole Tshuva awakening. Lamed Hey, this is in 75. So if you listen, I have an online version of this, just a talk. This I was so tired I hardly read it today. So I was learning it right now. But there I think I worked it out a lot in my mind. It's cool if you put in on the website, if you put in the word Nissan, promise to return. That's the name of the class. It's probably like 6-7. It's like 6-7 years ago, and has a good niggin in the front of it too. Hashivenu, Hashemenu. That's the niggin.
So he was sending me this
Yeah.
back then, and then like he was so.
Australia's most remote Chabad. I don't know if this is close by. Oh, the far reaches of Upper Queensland. It's Queensland. Closer to Nukuana and Alberta. It's Australia's most remote Chabad center in Cairns. C-A-I-R-N-S.
It's still in the northwestern, not the northern territory.
Close to the Northern
Northern territory. Which does. It's when you go to the other border. It's over there.
Chabad Hachodesh is part of the Chabad Rara Regional and Rural Australia.
It's the regional and rural or something.
Like from Australia.
Which includes the northern territory.
So if you get at this, we still need this kid.
Just the guy said, so he's married, he has kids, whatever. He says, well, actually, he's living with his non-Jewish girlfriend, but she's in the process of converting. Okay, it's going to be interesting. He's apparently a medical doctor who travels around the world. That's the reason he's living with her.
So how do you know that?
Oh, he's this other, what's his name? Not Grover, the other girl. He's going to, they're doing Pesach. Well, he's going to do Pesach there. He and his wife, I guess their kids are going to this little town. They do Pesach for, he said there's going to be 30 or 40 Jews there.
Oh, there aren't Jews there in this town.
Not from, I mean, they're just Jews. From,
Well, if you Mashiach.
it says, you have to start doing shit. I didn't get certified in this position.
Oh, how have you got going
He
on?
said, so that's why we won't fill up. Give you certification. I said, yeah, I'm sure he'd be happy to give you certification on the spot. Certification. You're certified. You just did it, right? You know, olive, good, no base.
Oh, and I'll teach him how. It's Nissan. Where's Nissan?
Yeah.
Where did you guys have?
You're not going to Pesach.
No, I'm not going. Someone else is going. It's in Australia, like a remote town.
Australia is like super Chassidic, no?
Very, very far out.
Yeah.
The trucks and You know, keep it feeling it. So it's not only like how you say it, it's when you say it. It's like a stock market. You know?
He hasn't caught on to your method yet.
He is, but I do a lot of time because he knows a lot of time I'm making a joke, just like hanging around, and he doesn't know when I'm there.
When are you gonna come?
It's going.
When are you going to kill?
Yeah,
Maybe donuts would help as well.
yeah, but not so well.
I've always been impressed with this guy, all these things. All things he needed to do. He's on the clock, he's working for somebody else. It's like, that's very academy. It's like, hey, it's on, keep us on consensus, anything. And maybe could be making some million more. So now it's like, yeah, when it's filling that part, it's filling. That's all. He figured like I did. Place the guys obviously it's not filling, it's my opportunity to put on filling. So let me do that. I don't know, it's very cool. He said, can I borrow his film? I'd like to put on his film. It was like the novelty. We had an opportunity. It was so important.
See your eyes when you're talking about this story.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it may have been inspiring actually. It's like,
We're gonna make a WhatsApp group.
yeah.
With you over there. Send us the pictures.
So I'll tell people
Send us the pictures.
I hope we'll see some kangaroos. It's still on kangaroo. So what are you doing? Something special for Shabbos, right?